Closing Steam.
Get that shit closed. You don't need Koikatsu right now, but that'd be a real weird episode. What you doing, Rhett? Splosh, splosh, splosh. Yeah, that's the sound I'm going with. Splosh. Yeah. That's probably the sound it makes. Once again, and despite everything, we're all somehow still here. That's right. We're all you got in this dark, cold, lonely, and dying world.
Yeah, we also have video games.
We got just video games and 3 talking heads who are going to do their part to make the world a better place by talking about video games.
Absolutely.
That's right, everybody. It is once again time. You know what it is. We know what it is. We are going to be living it for the next 8 hours. You're going to get a break in the middle. And though a lot of us, understandably, as one Napstabluke Undertale may have put it, maybe really not feeling up to it right now, we charge through because it's our duty. It's what the people want and need from us. That's right. We're doing the best thing we can right now and presenting you the Sockscast Game of the Year Spectacular for the year of our Lord and Savior, Haruhi Suzumiya 2024. How are y'all doing?
Feel good. We got video games.
We're going to talk about video games and make the world go away for a few hours.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready. Everybody's just like, can we just skip this opening shit? We got 8 hours, dude. Joining me, as always, we have the 2 greatest co-hosts on the face of the planet. To my immediate virtual right, he's been told that his tongue is very big. It's Rhett.
True story.
It is a true story. I literally nicked that from a Discord conversation. You said that earlier in the year, and I literally made a mental note. Yeah, that's gonna be one of your intros for Game of the Year show.
Beautiful.
And to my immediate virtual left, binging on the delicious candy that is your soul, it's John Thayer.
Hi.
How you doing, John?
I've got a cup of tea. I cleaned off the standing desk, and I'm standing.
Oh, look at you!
So I'm gonna not feel like really, really stiff at the end of this.
Well, I mean, unless we get into Koikatsu talk, and then everybody's gonna be real stiff.
Everybody's gonna get real stiff, yeah.
Who's ready for Game of the Year?
I am. I'm excited. We got everybody's lists.
We have everybody's list.
We have every person on the face of the planet's list.
All right, how many, Rhett? What's the count? How many lists do we get this year?
It's 34.
Lost count,
it's 34. We had 30 last night. It's 34. We got 4.
How does that compare with last year?
We have 4 that came in after the fact, and because we're just so nice, we're going to include them anyway, even though y'all get on the ball next time. Seriously. Come on now. We're here. We're literally sitting here putting this show together 45 minutes before we press record because of you people. But for our first timers who don't know, every year we get together as a community and we celebrate the best in games that the last 365 days had to offer, but we had an extra day of gaming this year. This was a leap year, so that's where those extra lists came from, is that leap year people got so much more gaming done. And so how it goes is today, myself, Rhett, and John, we will be counting down our personal picks listed from 10 through 6, and we will be digging through this Mount Fuji-sized pile of listener lists that we have. And the only rule that we have really is just, hey, if you played it this year, it's fair game, and it can be on your list. Bosconians winning again. Sorry to spoil it, folks.
Again.
Again, Rhett. Again. It's like the Garfield Christmas special. It's all reliable. It's always going to be there for you. Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Bosconian.
This is exactly how I feel about Bosconian.
John has been playing a lot of Namco games. It's not unlikely.
It's not unlikely. It could happen.
It actually comes up.
It actually has got me all jittery inside. I'm like, oh.
Is this the year?
Is this finally the year? Bosconian is always number one in my heart. All right.
Polly?
Yeah?
It's just really fucking good.
It is. It's lit. Like, how is...
It's just so good.
I don't understand how that game doesn't get more love. I literally just don't. It's such a fun loop.
Hey, if you wanna lose your fucking mind, go look at the go to the Namco Museum Wikipedia pages and look at the receptions for different games.
It's kind of crazy.
Listen to fucking Jeff Gershman talk about shit talk every other fucking game that's not Pac-Man and Dig Dug. Piece of shit.
I love Jeff, but his opinions are
trash!
Strong and controversial.
Yeah. I think the only somewhat obscure game I've ever heard him show love for is Speed Rumbler.
Tommy Glide of GamePro labeled Toy Pop as the weakest title, calling it a throwaway game.
Oh,
you sound like a throwaway writer, Tommy.
Yes, absolutely, Tommy.
Throwaway person.
Get completely fucked. But we are not here for absolute ass trash gaming opinions. We're here for only the cream of the crop, and it's rising to the top, baby. And what do you say? We get things started with an absolute banger of a list. We are getting things started with our very own community members, and of course, starting things off, I think, as she usually does.
Yeah.
Will be our good pal Garden. So, it's going to be an audio list this time around. So, you know how Garden's list, you know how that always goes.
They're sweet and short, right to the point. I usually read them.
To the point. But Garden has chosen this year to bless us with an audio list. And we know how these go. These are always, nice and nuanced and ready to go. So what do you say we all get ready and let Garden regale us with the tales of the wonderful games that she's played in 3, 2, 1, play.
Fallout New Vegas, Cyberpunk 2077, Metal Gear Solid.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
The audio file there is 7 seconds long. But it's really like 2 seconds of silence at the end.
I'm really excited for my Fallout era at some point.
Yeah.
I played a big chunk of Fallout 1 and a big chunk of New Vegas, and they were fucking excellent. I didn't finish either one of them because I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't
ready. The CRPG has not fully gotten itself into your blood yet.
Yeah, I hadn't cleared a single CRPG at that point. Now I've cleared a bunch of them, so I feel like I could actually get through.
It's probably there for you now. Next year, year of Fallout. It's happening, folks. Here we go.
Watch the TV show, get into the
Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas, play all of them.
And maybe literally watch the world melt down outside your window.
Yeah, exactly.
Those games are a documentary now.
Yes. All right. So thank you, as always, Garden. That was a fantastic bit. I love that she absolutely did the same thing.
In audio form.
Just in audio form. That may be the best gag anybody's ever done.
Good.
All right. We have another listener list. We have to start with the listener list because there's so damn many.
There's so many.
All right, Rhett, I do believe you have a listener list.
Yes, I've got a list from Iffy.
Official Sockscast wifey.
The wifey is here to list the wifeys and 3 games.
More competition this year, though.
So I'll just get right to it.
Get it.
Number 3, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Fun little action RPG set in a world I've always been curious about. I got really invested in making overpowered character builds, but the lack of continued updates cut back my interest after a while. Still, I had a blast with it, and I was surprised how good the story was. Number 2, Ys 10 Nordics. This game takes a while to remember that it's an Ys game, but when it finally gets there, it goes hard. Great plot, pretty good cast of characters, fun dungeon mechanics, banger music, and I didn't hate the ship combat after all.
Oh!
I know, saying you don't hate this part is a little... Karja makes a fantastic foil for Adol as well. It all wraps up with maybe my favorite Ease final boss battle, and an even crazy lore drop at the very end that longtime fans like myself will love.
Oh, you can't hook me like that. You
Fuck
can't.
yeah.
That's unfair.
I have played this. The final boss is freaking crazy.
Oh, that's unfair. Now I have to play. Now I gotta make it a priority.
What's y'all's favorite Ease final boss?
God, there's.
I mean, everything about 8 is my favorite, pretty much.
8 is still like 8's is still amazing to me.
8 is my favorite story. I think 7 still has my favorite final boss.
I still love original Dark Fact because it's stupid.
Dark Fact is pristine. Dark Fact is
Steam Dark Fact is just absolutely stupid.
Seven's the thing, the big hook in 7. Made me really
the hook.
happy.
It's like the way you fight all 3. Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. All right, was Grand Blue Fantasy and you're still in that?
So now we're on to if he's number 1. Number 1, The Legend of Heroes, Trails into Reverie.
What?
Now, Polly understands this is last year's game.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
This is not Daybreak, the one from this year.
What happened?
If he got to it a little late, apparently.
Okay.
I think she finished it in March. I think this will come as a bit of a surprise, but this was the Sky Third of Crossbell and Erebonia arcs that I had such a good time with it. The plot may be the weakest part of this game, but I still enjoyed it a lot, and it was fun to experience it with such a huge cast of beloved characters. Some strong life lessons, too. The dungeon crawler aspect was my favorite part, though, and that's what pushed this to number 1.
God,
was in heaven...
God, yes, at the dungeon crawler bit.
Yeah, that part's rules. I was in heaven making crazy character builds, and it was so satisfying having a true final boss that tested my team's limits to the fullest.
I think it's the only time the Cold Steel games have been hard.
Cool.
I mean, that game's weird because it has its own extra difficulty that's insane, the Abyss mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both put, I think I put it to Lunatic by the end, or, Nightmare mode, I'm thinking Toho. And if he did, plus 50 enemy levels. Oh my God. We really both pushed it as hard as we could.
Fuck yeah.
The true final boss is crazy. Okay, there's one more part of this list. It's Wifeys of the Year, which we're really here for. Number 3, Zeta from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Number 2, Karja Balta from East 10 Nordics.
Yeah.
And this one, I saw coming. Number 1, Firefly from Honkai Star Rail.
Easy win. Star Rail takes another.
Yeah, last year I believe it was Silver Wolf.
Oh, she's cute. Yeah, I know this one.
How could you not? How could you not?
I don't write down everyone that comes through, but I write when I'm like, this is going to show up again, I put them down. So I can keep a running tally of the ones that get a lot of picks.
All right. Well, I guess I might as well tear the bandage off and get things started for us.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Not even a lot of pageantry here because we've got so much left, so much show to do.
We got a lot to do.
Yeah, we're not going to be luxuriating over every list by the end.
No.
My number 10. I didn't fall in love with this one as much as everyone else did, but I also really like it a lot.
Okay.
My number 10 is UFO 50.
Oh,
which is what I feel is probably the first of a number of mentions.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, this came out quick.
Just like this one, just out the gate. Like I like this game a lot. Like I know that there are a ton of people in our community that have already sunk so many hours into this game.
I mean, to spoil things, we have a community member that 50 cherried this fucker.
Yeah.
Like when the game came out, the developer said no one on the team has actually beaten all 50. Not just beaten all 50.
Just beaten that gold cartridge.
It's insane.
Yeah, so...
The rules. That's so awesome.
This game is so fun. This is a collection of 50 whole-ass video games. This is not a mini-games collection. Stop letting people describe it that way. These are whole goddamn video games for you to sink your teeth into. And this is a game that I know that I'm just going to be coming back to for the next couple of years or so, because it's one that I just enjoy chipping away at. I find a game that I like, and I like to just luxuriate in it. Barbuda. I started with Barbuda because I think that you have to. You have to start with Barbuda and just enjoy, luxuriate.
John absolutely did not, but go on.
No, everybody kept talking about how great Barbuda was, and I said, and then when I bought it, I said, I'm going to play every game except Barbuda, and then I didn't play it for a month. And then it ruled.
And then Barbuda rules. Barbuda's awesome. Magic Garden. I got so into Magic Garden.
Magic Garden feels so good. That was the one where I was like, "This is it.
This is
the real deal."
It feels so good when you find, like, when you know the tech, when you figure it out, like when you see into the matrix of how to like really drive that combo counter up. It's like, saving them potions, spawn more. But yeah, Magic Garden, Ninpek was a great time. Mortal, Belgrass, Overbold, and Campanella. Like
Overbold
is so good.
Overbold Sockscast approved.
Yeah. Velgrass, I have to imagine, is Sockscast approved as well.
I haven't played that one yet.
Oh, you haven't played Velgrass?
Wait, which one?
Upwell.
Velgrass. Oh, Upwell. Upwell's really good.
That's the true name.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Downwell guy worked on it, but I don't think that was his game, which is extra funny.
That's really funny. Yeah. And Campanella, that's just like a really fun. Like, I love games like that feel like that. So it was like, oh, you just kind of made like, this one's for me. But yeah, great. Absolute great little collection of games. Like, for $25, like, even at just buying this one full price, you should not feel in any need to hold out for a sale for this, unless money's obviously an object. But if you're just kind of like holding out because, I just want the sale, like, dog, or you think it's a value thing. No, dog, it's not that at all. Like, these are full video games, and it's crazy that I live in a world where I could spend $25, or actually somebody could send it to me for my birthday, actually. Thank you very much. And that just be a thing that I'm going to be picking away at for years. Just feels good. Like, I like that feeling. I like
the treasure trove.
Yeah, UFO 50 is just this comfy little thing that I like. I like looking at on my list and going, I want this on my Switch, honestly. Like, if I'm being honest, I really want this on my Switch.
This game made me think about a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I will absolutely double dip on this game, even though, again, I didn't pay for it the first time. No, I take that back. I bought it for someone else, so I would technically be double dipping. I paid that gift forward. I did buy it for someone else. So
nice.
All right. But yeah, UFO 50 is my number 10. I have to imagine that this is a game we're probably going to be hearing
more. Yeah.
Not to spoil anything, but if you've been in our Discord for any amount of time over the last 3 months,
which I renamed to Game Channel 50
Game
because
Channel
of how
50. So yeah,
awesome. Good pick.
UFO 50 to start things out. We'll start with the barn burner. John, do you have a listener list?
I have a listener list from Freezing Inferno. You get our first long one. Hello once again, Sockscast. It's that time of year, so let us get right down to it and give you 3 cool computer video games I played this year. I'm already got a bouncy.
I was about to say,
voice.
Like that. Like, are you trying?
Flavored reader voice.
I was about to say, are you trying to do a Freezing Inferno voice right now?
Definitely. All right. Number 3, Chorus Gaiden, Priestess of the Forgotten Hero. No shade to our dear Chorus's creator, Jetstorm 4, as his Chorus games this year were spectacular as always, and just what I need to relieve stress and anxiety.
Well,
at the specific moments that they came out. But this Chorus spin-off from the Twin Blade General was quite the debut, using the power of twine to incredible use in order to craft a compelling adult fantasy adventure story. The usual predicament/bad end motivator of the Chorus games is amped up a notch with the power of prose, giving the proceedings a different flavor of edge. It's wonderful to see an OC such as Chorus become a poly-authored thing. Poly authored.
Yeah.
And the freshness of having a new voice playing in the field of risque things happening to a cute blonde elf girl really impressed me. Truly, 2024 was the year of the elf.
The year of wanting to fuck an elf unprotected.
That was so wild that just like out of nowhere, some like hidden community member made a whole big Chorus game. I haven't gotten to it yet. Number 2, Final Fantasy II on Famicom. God help me, the modern remakes and remasters of this game played with kid gloves, and I needed the overwhelming oppressive aura of Kawazu's true vision to really enjoy this game. It's nice that the remakes cut out all the extra bullshit, but my finely tuned hard game beater senses needed that constant pressure on me to gel with this one. It absolutely is not for everyone. But for me, something about overcoming this game's nonsense and just barely surviving its successive series of monstrous mazes did something to my brain that I can't explain. A consensual masochism tango in which I enjoyed every blistering step. I got what I wanted out of it, and damn me for it, I guess, but on the list it goes as an unforgettable experience this year. I believe in FF2 now. I watched like 10 different friends over the last couple of years play through it and just have a great fucking time.
I've seen that consistently pop up over the last few years. So.
Oh my god, it's nuts! It's the Famicom version. Like if you play the kind of
don't play the baby versions.
If you play the baby versions, then you have a billion long boring mazes that all feel the same.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be kind of taxing to really land.
Mm-hmm. Do they make Ultima work?
Do they make Ultima work? No. Wait,
really?
No. I think they do. I think they make Ultima better in some of the remakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, Fields of Mystria. This was a delight for the last third of the year on my Twitch streams. It's one of those farming simulator games a la Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon. It is in early access, so a lot of it has yet to be implemented. What is there was a relaxing time to have on my Monday night shows, just farming and interacting with the denizens of the local town. They all have great personalities, Juniper best girl, and the general aesthetic of the game is warm and cozy with lots of pastels and shoujo-style inspirations. Nice. It was an absolute joy to unwind with once a week on the stream with my pals, and for that relaxing nature, it gets top billing this year. Here's to 2025, y'all.
Let's go.
Fields of Mystery. I don't play farming games, but that aesthetic. Yeah. Oh, it's so pretty.
Aesthetic. It's got an aesthetic, yeah.
Oh, I love that look.
I watched Fresno play a good bit of this on stream, and it was really, really solid looking. Like it's not my kind of thing, but I can look at that and go, "Oh, I know why people like that."
It's got those like solid, chunky blocks of colors that kind of like Skipmore games or Link to the Past.
Oh yeah, very Skipmore-ish. Yeah.
But then with really, really pretty character art that does have a shoujo look. This looks gorgeous. Thanks for bringing 3 cool games to our attention, Fez.
Absolutely.
All right, next.
Well then, Rhett.
That's Rhett.
Hi.
What's your number 10?
Number 10. Okay. Let's go.
I know. Now we're rushing, huh? Okay, so last year I think I griped about it towards the end of on the honorable mentions was the game Tevi, and I made a promise to John that I'll find 10 games better than Tevi to keep.
Oh, you didn't do it.
I'm here to tell you that I didn't do it. I found 12 games better than Tevi.
There you go! Let's go!
Okay.
So I have a list of 12 games. I'll read the last 2 in the honorable mention section.
All right.
The cuts were brutal this year. Because I feel like I played games more this year than the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had these 12 games, and like I had 6 games for the last 4 spots. And I kept trying out different variations of the list and going, no, this one doesn't feel good to cut. This one doesn't feel good to cut. And finally settling on the 2 that felt the least bad to cut.
If we lived in an Uchikoshi game, you could just have it all. You could just travel to every timeline and...
Yep. The timeline where this made the list. The timeline where this made the list.
You could just have the whole thing.
So the bottom 4 games on my list at one point were not on it at all, which is crazy. So this was one of the ones that spent some time off the list, and I just thought, no, it's too important to not list in the big boy top 10. My number 10 is Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, man, I need to get to this one.
This is just such a cool, interesting take on like the character action beat 'em up genre, which is a genre like I don't get super hardcore into those games. I've played DMC4. I really liked Bayonetta 1 and 2. But I'm never good at them. Like, especially with Bayonetta, it's more like I play for the over-the-top story and go, oh, that was fun, and then not touch it again.
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush has literally everything happen on the beat. You attack on the beat, you parry on the beat, you dodge on the beat. Because enemies are also synced to it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that makes those kind of games a lot more, like, digestible.
So cool. It's the Capcom game that does that? Garumin?
Garumin.
Yeah.
I think
it sounds like it goes way harder on it.
I think it goes way higher. I didn't play a ton of Gurumin, but it is a similar concept, I think. Because you can attack off beat, but like the animation will be slowed down so that it still ends up hitting on the beat for you. So it's more like you just kind of have a slight whiff of an attack. And like having everything on the same beat consistently for the whole game, it just made me feel like I could actually be good at one of these in a way that none of them ever have. Where it's like, because it's like I'll be doing my combo on the beat, and then I see an enemy winding up an attack, and I know, guaranteed, it's going to make me dodge or block on that same beat that's already internalized in my head.
Awesome.
And like I've seen people say that this game messes them up because they're expecting it more like a rhythm game. Because I've heard it described as like rhythm games you play on the note, and this you play on the beat. There may not necessarily be a note at the same time. You just have to feel it.
Yeah, that is a game that I would excel at because I'm a drummer.
I think you'd be. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I've played music too. I can feel the beat, and like I actually thought they were going to mess with it more, like have like, oh, level 2, the beat is slower now. And they don't actually do that. It's pretty much, I think it's the exact same beat timing the entire game.
That's interesting.
Until they did do a DLC where it's like a combat arena and it speeds up as you do better. So there is a little bit of fuckery, but it's only in like the post game stuff.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
But yeah, this game, like the combat feels good to me in a way that stuff usually doesn't, like, because it gets to the point where it's like you have your basic combo at the start, and then it's like, oh, now summon your partner character on the beat, and then do the super move on the beat. So I was actually learning proper combos in this game,
Awesome.
which I just don't usually bother to give a shit about.
And then it feels real good.
Yeah, it feels real good. Like, okay, now I'm going to do the launcher, now I'm going to jump, and it's like it's just all timed out in a way that made sense to my brain. And the other thing I want to mention about this game is that it has licensed music for the boss fights.
Oh.
And some of them made my jaw hit the floor. I'm not going to spoil what they are, but we would all appreciate them.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Could not believe what was happening when I got to the final boss and the music started.
Oh, fuck. All right.
I was like, you have to be kidding. This isn't happening. You're not using this track for the final boss. But they do.
Very excited.
So yeah, this was a game. I had a lot of fun with it. I refused to cut it from my list, even though it did slip all the way down to 10. So that's Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
And it's really, also part of why I really didn't want to cut it is what happened to that fucking studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Man, fuck
think-
video games, dude.
Maybe there was some, I didn't follow up on it. Maybe they were being bought by somebody else.
Maybe. I don't know. It was a rough year for video games, dude.
Yeah. A rough year after last year being an extremely rough
An
year.
extremely rough year. Yeah, like we are here celebrating video games as much as we can, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge
the industry is in a bust right now with
sucks
post-COVID,
so bad.
like coming down.
And literally just studios wanting to kill everything with AI. So they're firing everybody and keeping numbers low so that because they really want that AI miracle to come through.
Yeah.
Which it won't.
It won't, no. An AI is not going to make a Hi-Fi Rush. No matter how many times you feed it Hi-Fi Rush, it is not going to make you something as good and crafted as Hi-Fi Rush. No.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
Polly.
Yes.
Do you have a case of listener listitis?
I've got a case of listener listitis again. It's just traveling from podcast to podcast now. But we've got a list from, I believe this is actually somebody new. They're referred to as the R-Man. I don't know what the R stands for. Probably radical, if I had to imagine. Probably radical. And I say, hey,
the Red Man. Rhett wanted to send an extra list with all of his.
It's not me. It's not me.
Why is Koikatsu on here?
3 times.
3 times. All right, from the R-Man, which they state, hey, yo, I want to submit my games for the Game of the Year 2024 podcast. Congratulations. You've emailed the right address.
This was like the first list I got to like a month ago.
Oh, wow. Nice. On the ball, really.
Yeah.
So, they're listed in an order, but there is no number, so we're just going to read them in the order that they appear. We have Indigo Park, Chapter 1, It's a nice little indie horror game where you explore an abandoned theme park. Even though it's just the first chapter, it gives you a nice introduction to the story and gets you excited for future installments. It doesn't contain that many jump scares, but enough to keep your eyes out. The next game is Meteora's Mystic Merge. I love me some.
Sorry, I just looked at Indigo Park's box art, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
Posted in here.
Meteora's Mystic Merge. I love me some good alliteration. We have a fun little Suika game clone with the bonus that you can use abilities and features like a gacha-like system where you only pay with in-game coins, which you get by playing the game and you don't have to pay. Some abilities are burn the smallest orbs, create a black hole, or switch all the orbs around. That could be fun. I think that's a fun way to approach something like that, especially if you don't have to give it real money.
Yeah.
And the last game that they mentioned is one that I just added to my wish list a couple days ago, which is My Side or Me Side. It's Miside. Miside? I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. But this is currently only the demo is available at the time of this writing. This is a short psychological horror game about you getting into a visual novel. Well, that's believable. / Stardew Valley-like mobile game. Living together with the main character, Mita. It is very cutesy, but it doesn't hold back. That the game considers you an anomaly. Visual glitches here, some long hallways there, and the end lets you, only in the demo, you can pick one, decide if you want to stay with Mita or if you want to end up in her closet. And if you're anything like me, this is me editorializing right now, I'm kind of always ready to end up in a girl's closet. That's just me. But yeah. Hope these blurbs are okay. The R-Man. They're absolutely fantastic. The most wonderful blurbs I've ever read.
It's funny. It looks like Me-Side actually just came out 4 days ago.
Yeah, I think that's why
awesome.
I put it. That's why I put it on my wish list, is because I think it actually literally just came out. So yeah, it looks really rad. I love the premise.
Overwhelmingly positive on Steam with almost 5,000 reviews.
Oh fuck yeah!
Wow, that caught on real fast.
That caught on real fast.
Holy shit, John!
That's me.
Number 10.
All right. Let's kick off with a bang. Sylvie RPG 7 Elf Apocalypse.
Huh.
Yeah.
This also, all right. This is our second elf game, right?
I
should
think
keep a running tally of that.
Year of the Elf.
Year of the Elf count too.
Yeah.
I really like this one. Sylvie released several games since last year's list. I think last year I put Sylvie Lime on.
Yeah.
Funeral Song for the Elemental Lords is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I did the first route basically. I think this is like little teeny Void Stranger where there's a bunch of you play through multiple times and it transforms in different ways. That one seems really cool.
Yeah.
Silly Miniature was a really cute bite-sized explorer platformer thing. This is the one that just really hit me good. It's very, damn it, what's that G Master System? It looks like Zelda, but isn't. Polly, help me out here. It's like Master System Zelda.
I'm going to call it Master System Zelda. We'll just call it that.
God damn. Golvelius. All right. It's inspired by Golvelius, where it's like you have a top-down world, but there's a secret on every screen. Every screen.
Yeah.
And all of them have different triggers to affect them. But there's cute hints and there's a whole language basically to sussing out what the different triggers are.
Almost Fae-Rooney.
Yeah, and you don't need to activate every secret to finish the game. It's very free form, and I was able to get through it without a guide or whatnot. It's bump combat. That's really, really cute. The story is really cute. It's got some insane boss fights, especially near the end. Mm-hmm. I think this one's just a really tight package. I really, really like this one.
Yeah, this one sounds really good. This is one that I saw you talking about earlier in the year. I just never got around to it. Just one of those, I've got that bookmarked in my brain and on my computer actually, but it's just what I did not get to because I kind of I liked the Fae-Rooney-ness of it.
Yeah, the the world of top-down, screen-by-screen bump combat action RPGs that are bite-sized is wonderful. It's one of my favorite things.
It's one of those. I want to make one of those someday.
The design notes are, if you, it's free, but if you pay $7, you get a bunch of bonuses, including a complete secret guide, a full map, and also 7,000 words of design notes on making the game. This also came together in like 3 months, which is insane for the scope of what this is.
For the scope of how big this thing seems.
This is like a year-long project.
Yeah.
That she slammed it out. All right, that's my number 10.
That's a solid.
Year of Elf.
Year of the Elf continues. I think that's going to be where we end up. It's like not really about the game. It's just more everybody just wants to fuck an elf, dude.
I want to the whole subway of people thinking I want to have unprotected sex with an elf.
We have another audio list. This one comes in from a fairly recent addition to the Socks community named Kusakari. I call him Kusokari.
Got him.
He's never going to listen to this anyway. So, anyway,
he better.
He better. Exactly.
If you submitted a list,
you have to.
You better be here.
You better be here for it. We put in the time. We put in the time to make sure your words are here. But yeah, Kusakari, recent member, the recently joined the community. Been a lot of fun. Let's hear what games piqued my guy's interest over the last year in 3, 2, 1, play.
All right, so for my Game of the Year submissions, I have a very clear favorite, but someone else here is definitely going to go into more detail about it, so I'm going to let them cover it. So my other 3, first and foremost, Soma. It's by Frictional Games, same people that made Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Instead of running away from monsters, you're basically running away from reality. It's a very existential crisis kind of game. You're basically questioning at what point are you still you if you make infinite copies of yourself fully conscious? Are any of them more human, quote unquote, than the rest? It also takes place in a apocalyptic setting. So you're one of the last people alive. So it's like, at what point does loneliness also start affecting your mindset? It's pretty much just a mental boom the whole time. Very, very fun, enjoyable game. And there's some genuinely terrifying stuff as well. Like, it's not just you thinking the whole time. It just adds to it. Would recommend highly, especially if horror is your thing. Number 2, Chrono Arc. It's a roguelike deck builder. If you've played Slay the Spire, you've played something pretty similar. Except whereas Slay the Spire is pretty bare bones in terms of concept, Chrono Arc has 20 pickable characters to choose from and has a genuine story that I think is very enthralling. I teared up a bit at bits and pieces of it down the line. Is it perfect? No, but it has a lot going for it. It's come out with 2 DLC so far that add some skins, some cards, and some funny events. I mean, it's not like the biggest thing in the world, but I like it a lot. And I've put 100+ hours into it just since I bought it in over the summer. So definitely would recommend. Also, unless you just don't like roguelike deck builders. Not that I've played many more other than Slay the Spire and Chrono Arc, so maybe it's not as good as I think it is comparatively. But I enjoyed it a lot, and that's what really matters, right? And number 3, probably my quote-unquote most controversial, Blue Archive. The Twitter community and fan art just community in general for it suck ass. I mean, genuinely god-awful. I don't think I need to explain why they are awful. I'm sure you can figure it out on your own. And if you don't know already, let's just say most of the characters are in school. I'm sure you can figure out what that means. But that aside, it genuinely has some very good character writing and story beats past the intro. I mean, it has that typical gotcha thing where They don't really know if it's going to stick in the beginning, so they kind of just throw stupid humor in the first bit, because you don't want to go full power if you're not going to actually get funding. But it hit, luckily, and I'm glad it did. It has a banging OST, tons of tracks I jam to at the gym. It has a lot of colorful characters and personalities. I mean, is every one of them amazing? Obviously not. But I'd say there's a great majority more good than bad. I wouldn't even say there's many bad, just some that are The company that made it's run into a little legal trouble here and there because of offshoots of it, and so they've had to delay some new content. But still, very much enjoyed what I've played so far. My favorite is Volume 3. If any of you have played it, I would assume not, but hey, I don't know. Maybe at least one of you has. And my favorite character is Azusa. So she's a cute little robot killing machine that's not actually. I just have a big thing for like human war weapons, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, it doesn't have a lot of gameplay. It's a pretty whatever gotcha in that side of things. I've had a golden horseshoe up my ass in terms of luck pulling for characters. So no complaints for me there. And it's got a good bit of good designs. I mean, some are very meh. But it has a lot of good. And by God, for the fan art that isn't in that vein of thinking, there is a lot of good stuff. So yeah, those are my 3 submissions for Game of the Year.
All right. Well, thank you so much for contributing. Soma especially is one. It's just like, why haven't I gotten to that yet? I feel like that's
you're dying to play Blue Archive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm being told on the grapevine that there's elves in Blue Archive, so I'm adding that.
All right. The elf count continues to climb. The year of the elf.
Year of Elf 3. Okay.
All right. So we're circling back around to moi once again. I want to say something. Wait. What?
I have a listener list. Sorry,
man. I'm so bad at following outlines. I
put mine after the audio list. That's how you'll remember.
All right, you are after the audio list. All right, Rhett.
Okay. This comes in from Braylif.
Let's go.
Okay. The 3 games I played this year are Rail Heist, a stealth action platformer with incredibly creative gameplay. It's interesting to play as cowboy outlaws who suck at loading a gun but punch people hard enough to send them flying. Once I started playing it, I couldn't stop until I binged the game to 100% over 6 hours. It also allows me to recreate my favorite scene from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where John Wayne punches a hole through the floor of a train with his bare hands and then tricks all the lawmen into shooting each other into it. It's really funny. You can punch through walls in that game.
That's pretty good.
It really reminds me of Gunvolt. No, not Gunvolt.
Oh, wait. Oh.
Katana Zero?
No. Gunbound?
Gunbound.
I'm sorry.
Gunpoint.
Gunpoint. I think it was Gunpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, that game's rad. Gunpoint's amazing.
Rail Heist is very similar to that, but with like the Wild West theme and, no hacking. But it's a lot of fun. Okay, next on this list. Vanger is a better Super Metroid than Super Metroid. I don't know if I agree with that one, but that game is also great.
Wait, Rail Heist was part of UFO 50,
yeah,
right?
that's part of UFO 50.
Okay.
Yeah. And third game on this list, Mini and Max is one of the coolest games I've ever played. It's a Metroidvania with Super Mario Bros. 2 combat, which is fun enough on its own, but then I got to the other mechanic and it completely blew my mind. Somehow every obscure corner I stumble into manages to have an upgrade that changes my life forever. The feeling of walking into a room and seeing a Chozo statue has been dethroned by the feeling of walking on the head of an enemy and finding the ability to command bugs and viruses to do my bidding. I'm sure Silk Song will be pretty good, but will it be as good as Mini and Max? I'm not so sure.
Silk Song isn't coming out. Silk Song is done.
Mini Max was one of the ones that seemed like kind of like one of the standouts where people would have responded really strongly to it, even if it hadn't been part of the collection.
Yeah, if it wasn't a part of the collection. Yeah.
All right,
so to be clear, all 3 of those games are UFO 50.
Yeah.
Just 3 of the 50.
3 of the 50 have made and have encompassed an entire Game of the Year list.
I've only played of those 3. I only played Ranger. It was good.
Yeah. You flippy.
There's so many fucking UFO 50 games. It's great. All right. Anytime if somebody links individual games, I'm going to count that as a UFO 50 one.
Yeah.
If they link multiple ones, I'm going to count that as
time it happens.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. So now we'll circle to me.
Now, Polly.
All right. Sorry for jumping the gun there, Brailiff. My bad. I want to state something about my list before I jump into my number 9 is that if you didn't know already, a bunch of people in our community make video games.
Oh,
and
yay.
it was very hard for me to make a list and leave anybody off. So I have not included.
You gotta do it. You just gotta. You gotta have a cold heart.
I
Polly.
cannot do it, and I did not do it. So I'm sorry if you like. I want to do something special about the community's output in like January or February. Keep an eye out for something about that later.
Oh, cool.
So. All right, I just kind of wanted to get that out there. I forgot to mention that up front. That
you're not including community member names on this list because you want to celebrate them all at once later.
Yeah, I'm going to do something later.
Does it feel too bad to cut them?
I tried. There were a lot of iterations of my list where I had games on my list, and then I was just like, but I feel bad leaving off. I was like, I can't do it, dude. I can't. I feel terrible.
I've been doing it for years, Polly. I've been sitting there like, nope, sorry.
I'm not heartless enough. I'm not heartless enough.
My games I love 2024 collection on itch is 54 games right now.
Yeah, have fun with that. Enjoy breaking everybody's hearts.
It's the most itch games I've ever gotten for in a specific year. It's the biggest any of these collections I've ever gotten, including the ones I add to after the fact. All right. Jumping into number 9. My number 9 is a case of up next in this game's entirely Polly's jam. How the hell hasn't she gotten into this yet? My number 9 is Hypnospace Outlaw. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a game where you can say a lot about it. It's a unique premise of you being like an internet cop. And there's a lot of very cool ways that they play with that, and a lot of very fun sleuthing you have to do through their big fake weird internet to solve the cases. And then the narrative takes some absolutely insane turns, which have you exploring the internet after major events happen. And it's kind of haunting in a way.
Cool.
But what I think that this game comes down to here is immersion. I think that this game is a perfect goddamn representation of browsing the early internet. And I don't say things like this a lot, but you are literally playing this game wrong if you're just mainlining your mission queue and you're not just spending most of your time trawling around the game's big fake internet. There's so much. There is so much content to be found in this game. Either just hopping from link to link to link, or like when you figure out how to directly go to people's like weird places that they've made, searching around in that, finding files to download, and purposefully infecting yourself with viruses. Just a lot of really fun stuff that this game does.
Aren't there like entire albums of like garage bands?
Yes, there's like entire like garage band albums there. You can't forget the Chowder Man, baby. There's just so much fun to be found in all of like the weird, like I keep telling myself I want to go back to this game and do a playthrough where I just try to find the entire internet. I want to see it all.
Yeah.
Like I think when I finished the game, I ended up seeing about 80% of it, which that's a lot. There's so much. There's so much to find, and it is all just literally this late 1990s internet where your pages are just exploding in chunky ass GIFs and like bad MIDI music playing all over the place. It's so good.
As someone that was there in the 90s doing my own GeoCities thing, this is like way too authentic.
It's so key. Like there's even like an editor where you can make and put your own pages in the game if you want.
Really? I think
there's an editor
in the game itself, or like an outside.
You can put it in the game. You can make it like accessible.
I think I missed that.
I think it was literally only added like like this year.
Oh, okay. I played this a couple of years ago. That's really great.
But it's so great looking at all these bad web pages with like awful formatting, like eye-searing backgrounds, grammatical and spelling errors, and it's just there is a world to enjoy here. And I think that like if you are playing this game and not doing that, you're just not enjoying Hypnospace Outlaw for what it really is. And it's just like for me, like I think the story is really good. But I think the entire experience of just trawling that big fake internet and how much love they put into making sure that there's just stuff you can always find is so fun. Hypnospace Outlaw is amazing. So that's my number 9.
Fuck yeah. That sounds dope as hell, Polly.
Yeah. This one's real good. Goes down real smooth. So I do believe. Coming up next, we got a listener list from our good pal Jetstorm 4, as read by John Thayer.
And I've so fucked up. I fucked up where I closed the thing. I closed the list. I closed the folder for all the lists.
Nice.
I'm fucked. I ruined it.
You're such a rube.
Oh my god!
I'm leading this in.
It all up.
I'm leading this in so everybody knows that once again, John Thayer has completely fucked up the podcast.
It all up. All right, I got it up. Hi, Sockscast.
Okay.
Hi, Sockscast. Once again, it is that time for Game of the Year. This year had a lot of good stuff in it. Honestly, it was better than last year in that regard. But here are the ones I liked the most. Number 3, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. They did it. Not only did they finally make a real Zelda game, but they made it one of the best Zelda games I've played in a very long time. They took the ideas of a more freeform Zelda and gave it an actual narrative and plot with its own coherent rules and puzzle format that felt great to solve through. While you get a lot of echoes, you eventually find yourself using a select few favorites, but I can see those favorites being different for everyone. One of my new favorite Zelda games in general, and my favorite modern Zelda game. I'm so glad Grezzo got to make their own finally.
Yeah.
This is the first Zelda in years that actually looks good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely playing this one at some point. I loved everything about this in its lead up. It looks so good.
I remember watching the trailer and being like, wait, what? This looks fun. This looks like something I'd want to play. I'm not like used to this feeling coming up when friends are posting about Nintendo Directs. Number 2, Harvestella. The goal of any 2024 game this year was it had to try and beat Harvestella. As you see, not very much was successful. What was advertised and promoted as a farm sim turned out to be an incredible science fiction story about humanity's relationship with nature, technology, and the past, along with farm mechanics to raise money to continue on dungeon crawls with various party members, job classes, and a cute siren girl. Whew. This is my new favorite farm sim action RPG of all time. Which is a genre I find myself in often somehow. If the farm stuff seems intimidating, don't worry, it's easier than even Rune Factory to make work for you. Also, I got my main character marry the cute siren girl at the end, and it was great.
Nice.
A lot of extra friends were kind of wigging out about the Harvestella.
Yeah, Harvestella kept popping up on my on lists that I've been reading too, from other people that I trust and listen to, and maybe I need to give that one a little more of an honest look sometime.
Cool. Number 1, this will be a second mention here, Ys 10 Nordics. Update the queue. The one game to beat Harvestella. I was not expecting Ys 10 to top my previous favorite 3D Ys game, Ys 9, but eventually did. While I still think I like the world of Ys 9 better overall, Ys 10 brings its own flavor with a new combat system with only 2 characters, Adol and Karja. God, that sounds so good. That sounds so cool.
Yeah. I'm really into that whole idea of it just being 2 characters.
It's the best. The best things in an Ys game is when there's Adol and a cool girl.
It's really back to basics.
And Ys, Ys 8 was that, but they had all these other characters, garbaging things up.
There were multiple cool girls.
There's the cool girl, and then there's the girl it's like, you're a lot like my dad, Adol.
Adol, I kind of want to fuck my dad, I think.
I want to fuck my dad, and you're like my dad. That's cool. All right, I'm just being mean. I love Ys 8. Adol and Karja, lessening the busy work of the raid battles to be way more enjoyable, and even making the ship combat fun. One of my favorite parts of the game, even. Everybody's really defensive about the ship combat.
Everybody loves the ship combat, and this is like the one thing where I was like, oh god, please don't be terrible.
It's fun.
The supporting cast was fun, and while the early parts of the game were a little long, the middle and back highlights of the game shook things up enough, leading to one of the best final bosses ever. East End was an incredible time, one of my new favorite overall packages from Falcom. Thank you all for this community and everything. We'll get through 2025 together.
Let's hope so.
Dark Lord Tom is just going for. Thank you, Tom.
I love how the name at the end has 2 different quote parts.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very good.
That's very God. Never mind.
I'm putting down Harvestella and Echoes of Wisdom because I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
All right. If there's elves in a game, I'm not going to note it unless people specifically mention the elves.
Okay.
So that's how we're doing it here.
Okay.
Okay.
Rhett.
Hi.
Number 9.
So this was another game I thought about cutting from my list because it's a little simple. It's a little, basic and to the point, but I was just like, man, it's just so much fun to play.
And better than Tevi.
Better than Tevi for sure.
Better than Tevi for sure.
My number 9 is Gal Guardian's Demon Purge.
Hey, that's a good one.
Integrates!
This one really, really caught me off guard because I thought it was going to be, the Inti creates like kind of.
They have a trash tier where it's just like, we're just kind of releasing this character platformer game. Remember that Love Live game that felt terrible?
Yeah, like the contract work by the books thing, like the Love Live game. But you can clearly tell that this is based on the Galgun franchise, which is their true passion.
Yes.
And they put a lot of love into making this one feel good to play.
Yeah.
You have 2 characters, they're sisters, which is also great.
They're cute as a button.
You got the melee girl and the gun girl, and they have, as you go through the game, they get different abilities like rocket launcher, which is awesome. And it's just really fun to play. And then it does one of my favorite things where you beat the game, or so you think, and then it resets you back to stage 1 and goes, the real Gal Guardian starts
here.
And then it's like, oh, by the way, now you unlock the hub. Now you unlock the ability to replay stages. Now there's upgrades everywhere. I'm just like, oh, okay, the real game really did just actually start here.
Now there's like 100 girls in 100 panties you have to find.
Yeah, the whole collection.
If you want. Like, but hey, that's
the
there if you want it.
I was like, nah, I'm not.
I didn't do any of that, but I love that it's there because I think that it's a case of just like, the person that made this game, they've wanted to make this game forever, and they finally got the go ahead, and you can feel that excitement bursting out of every pore of this game.
There's a lot of excitement, especially in the second half. It gets like, this game is very like by the books at the start story wise, and then the further and further in you get, it just gets hornier and hornier.
Yeah. They hide the horniness really well. Like, I remember when this game came out, it wasn't even marketed as a Galgun game. It was just Grim Guardians. And nobody knew off the cuff immediately that it was a Galgun game. And then a bunch of people found out that it was a Galgun game and got like weird and pissed off about it, like they'd been fooled into playing some porn game. Despite the fact that the game isn't really porny, it's just it's just a little horny.
You definitely don't go on quests to get school swimsuits or anything. Yeah, it reveals its hand as a Galgun thing further and further as you get.
It gets more and more ridiculous.
Until one variation of the final boss just turns into actual Galgun.
Literally, the fun. Like, if you do all of the collecting and get all the panties and the swimsuits and take them back to all of the girls, you unlock an actual Galgun final boss fight. Where you have to hit the spots on their body. You have to. It's so silly.
Yeah, I don't your way into Galgun, Rhett.
Oh, it definitely is because I like the main characters enough to buy them.
I have a Galgun game in my catalog now.
Yeah, I'll probably play Double Peace next year because that's the one that focuses on them.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought like the general movement and combat, like in the stages, though,
great.
It just feels really good.
It's so solid.
Like, both characters are great. I like the melee girl. I like rocket launcher girl. Like, once I got that, I was like, oh, okay, this is just what I'm using the rest of the game.
That's the only weapon I'm using.
Yeah, all the sub weapons are fun. It just felt really good to play.
Yeah, like this game's got game feel all the way down.
Yeah,
excellent.
That's my number 9.
That is a solid number 9. I have a listener list. This is from Rika Reedman, who is a new VTuber friend of mine that I recently met. They have an incredible design. It's very based on Read or Die's main character. So you should absolutely go check out Rika Reedman. She's awesome. And she also does a lot of visual novel streaming too. So we have that in common. It's nice to meet other people that have that same niche. So yeah, she's cool as hell. Everybody check her out. She says, hello! I saw your video about the podcast you're hosting this year, and I wanted to submit my personal picks for Game of the Year 2024. I've typed them up below. 999, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors was a wonderfully written take on the whole death game genre, which I do think stands above a lot more modern takes, despite being written back in 2000. Oh my God! Don't make me feel old. Like don't put years in these things. I know we said you could put them from any year you wanted, but don't write the year down. That's just gonna make me turn to dust. This game features a mostly adult cast, various subplot lines, and a gimmick within the flow mechanic that keeps things super fresh throughout, combined with the various twists and well-timed villain reveals, as well as some truly fun puzzles. I think this might have been my favorite game to play this year. It spawned an entire trilogy called the Zero Escape series, but I think the first game is far and above the best of the bunch. Praise be to Uchikoshi Kitaro. Absolutely. Up next, we have Signalis. Signalis is a game I went into almost completely blind. The only thing I knew about it was survival horror, and all my lesbian friends love it. And I think that's the best way to go into it. I've always been a big fan of classic Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and this scratches that itch so well. Paired with a really great storytelling and some super compelling characters, this could easily have taken the spot of my Game of the Year for this year. I'm not biased because I'm also the taller butch in my relationship. Nope. And here's one I know that's going to get some love. Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
Yakuza 0 is pretty old. Please don't say the year. Please don't say the year. But it was my first dip into the series. The characters are so unforgettable, and while the combat isn't usually what attracts me to games, it stays engaging enough to not make me hate it. The characterization, the storylines are so strong in the series. Are so strong in the series, though, that I think you could just watch a movie of the cutscenes and you'd still be hooked. Play Yakuza! Thanks for reading through. Looking forward to the podcast. Sincerely, Rika Reedman.
Badass.
I have a question. I know this isn't part of Year of the Elf, but does it count if the VTuber is an elf?
She is an elf. She do be an elf.
You know what? Let's be permissive about it. So, like,
all right, Year of the Elf.
I'm counting this as a Year of the Elf.
Rika, you're adding to the elf count. All right, John.
I've got a number 9 for y'all.
All right, let's go.
This was not on my list until like yesterday because because I finished this December 17th.
Woo!
And last year, it was I think it was the year before, I forgot Trans Ruby existed and I didn't put it on the list and I didn't know about it until it was year number 1.
Oh my God.
And it killed me. I was like, I completely forgot Trans Ruby. I'm dying.
It's a good thing that I gave it Game of the Year. I gave it the highest honor.
Mm-hmm. I think Trans Ruby got its due.
Yeah.
But my number 9 is Tales of Fantasia.
Ooh.
So I played the PS1 version with the Fantasian Productions patch. So Cecile played the older PS1 patch and said it was really dry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the Super Nintendo patch, which is famously not dry.
Yeah.
Is it moist?
Famously moist.
In a way or two.
That's the Arch. I bet Arch fucks like a tiger.
Yeah,
patch.
that's the one.
But the Fantasia, the patch we played was just pitch perfect. It just hit exactly right. It's playful, but it never like broke the tone. And the PS1 version also adds in the skits. Those aren't in the original SNES version.
Oh, right, they're not. Yeah.
And the skits are wonderful. The voice acting is lovely. The character writing is lovely.
They're often the best part of Tales games, honestly.
Yeah, we're playing Berseria now, and I don't think it's going to make the list next year. But it's a lot better than Vesperia. But like,
well, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, the reason that I think Fantasia is going to be my favorite Tales game is that it's all of these games are sprawling, all of them are long, all of them luxuriate in the characters and the character interactions. I think the strength of Fantasia is that the story itself still has a really strong focus to it. It is all about Daos. They introduce this villain up front. He's really, 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 really strong and scary. And the entire thrust of the plot is about your evolving relationship with this villain. And he's the villain from beginning to end.
And it makes that makes it feel like, not like, I'm going to use the word intimate. And I know that that word often comes with a different, connotation. But it's definitely like that story is, it does feel like weirdly intimate.
Absolutely.
Because it has such a singular focus.
Mm-hmm. There's one optional scene in the last world that's like just all about Daos that Cecile helped me find. And it just is like, the way that whole story plays out really hit me good, especially since the PS1 version adds an extra final boss phase that really, I had like, when the final boss hits just right. So you're like, you're like a half hour in and you're hanging by a thread. Yeah. You got like next to no items left. All of my characters are dead except for Cress. And I was like, okay, I'm out of items. Let's just wail on him and hope for the best. I've been fighting my absolute hardest, and then I just barely won. Yeah, it felt real good.
Always feels good.
So they add the dungeons are epic and mazy. It's not a tight like propulsive Final Fantasy roller coaster. It feels probably more in line with like the PC RPGs that I think Wolf Team made or like it played with, like, because they were PC devs beforehand.
Yeah.
But like I just got in the zone with it. I enjoyed the long mazes. I enjoyed the random encounters. I thought the fighting felt great. We put it in manual immediately. Manual makes it feel so much better.
Yeah, don't play that game on auto. It doesn't feel great.
It doesn't feel great. That's another thing that they added in the PS1 version. So I feel very positive about our choice of version here.
Good choice.
The production's gorgeous. Like it's definitely a long game. Like there's a lot of points where it's like, okay, go do these 3 dungeons and then the story will continue. Yeah. But I think if you just get on its wavelength, this is just a really strong debut and a really good package. I really like Tales of Fantasia.
Yeah. This game's good.
All right. What's next?
That is a solid number 9. Again, like I like that. Like I know that I don't like when I talk RPGs. Like the Tales of series just doesn't come up a lot, but I really do like Fantasia a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. Berseria is hitting me good. It has a way more of like a thrust to it than Vesperia did. It's
definitely a lot. I think that game is also intimate in a different way. Like I liked the intimacy in Berseria as well. I think that it's very I like it when that series does that and it feels less. I don't know. I feel like it can kind of like lean way too into anime tropes at times, and the stories feel a little insincere. Or just a little too contrived. But I think that Fantasia and Berseria both kind of hit for me in similar ways. And that word intimacy is the word that kept coming back to.
I think that's a good point. I think Berseria's story is hitting me the same way. It's just that the systems are way more like modern
gamey and kind of mushy and not great.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, Fantasia is just this perfect cup of porridge. Yeah. This is hitting everything right for me.
So are we ready for another listener list?
Perfect temperature cup. It's like the Goldilocks thing. It's the Goldilocks porridge. That's the illusion I was making. Yeah. All right, I'm done.
All right.
That's the list.
We got porridge. There's at least one porridge mentioned this year. We did good, I think. Porridge finally getting its due on the Sockscast, I think.
Arch is also a half elf, and she's really cute.
All right, you know what? There you go. Like, does that give like a 0.5 to the elf count?
Yeah, because you also go to the elf village, and there's a bunch of elves, and there's a whole.
Okay, so there are we've got a confirmed elf count here that is more than just one. Okay.
There's a half elf that fucks like a tiger in this one.
Yeah, she fucks like a tiger. Let's go. You know who else fucks like a tiger? Carmichael McAllis, who has our next listener list, if we're all ready for that.
I'm ready.
All right. We are going to drop that in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey, what has 366 days and sucks ass out loud this year? Carmichael McCallis here with my annual bitching about the year and my top games played. With half of my message delivered, let's get on to the games. Honorable mentions to Final Fantasy XIV for releasing another fun expansion, and Lightyear Frontier for being my early access game of the year. I had fun with what has come out, and I'm curious to see what else gets added. Third place goes to the first game I played this year, Cluster Truck. I saw the Super Truck mode get played on Watch and Play last year, and it made me want to try the game out. I normally don't play parkour runner games, but it was a lot of fun. Except the last level. Kinda went too far up its own ass on that one. Second place goes to Dragon Quest Builder series because I played through the second one again, and then right afterwards the first one got announced on Steam, which I then bought and played through. While the first game does pale in comparison to the second as far as what you can do, as someone who played Dragon Warrior on the NES, I still enjoyed it. And I have to give props to a game that knocked me back to my childhood with a single fucking song. And finally, first place goes to Satisfactory. The game came out of early access this year, and holy shit, the amount of love and content put into this game. I played 2 saves this year, totaling up to 650 plus hours, and there was a good 6 months where I didn't even touch the game. The only downside I can say to this game is it was my first game in the automation genre, and I think that's kind of like starting fantasy with Terry Pratchett. Everything else is going to be a downgrade. And that's it. Those are my 4 games, plus a few other mentions. Hey, you could have hit stop anytime you wanted, but you didn't, and I appreciate that. At any rate, while Christmas may have come 20 days early this year, I wish everyone listening a happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Carmi, as always. Always glad.
What was that little gasp, Paul? You're like,
the 200 hour, like he played 600 hours of Satisfactory, but didn't touch it for 6 months. Do you know how hours work? Think of how many are in a year. That's so many.
That style of game is just crazy for entire evening.
I've seen people like stream that game and literally just be like, oh shit, I've been streaming 5 hours. I gotta go. So that's the good stuff. Yeah, but thank you as always, Carmi. It's always great to hear from you. Rhett, I do believe you got yourself another listener list.
Yep, we're down bad with listener list items.
We are so down bad.
There's a huge outbreak.
Red, I've got a disease, and the only cure is more listener lists.
Okay, this comes in from Poncho Smith. Hello, Sockscast faithful. I know it's been a hot minute, but believe it or not, I actually played through enough unique games to bang out another list. As you might expect from me, I play a lot of stuff that reminds me of stuff I played when I was younger. Case in point, number 3, Fallen Leaf. I literally finished this one last night, if you need any indication to how close to the wire I cut it here. I had my eye on this whimsical little indie platforming gem, and an unexpected Steam gift from a very own Raven GM put it into my hands. If you've ever played through any of the classics of the NES canon, you'll feel right at home here. More on that later. Number 2, Crow Country. Crow Country.
Or is it county? It may be county.
Poncho wrote country.
Okay.
I'm not
country.
Sure.
I know that I know the game, though. It's a survival horror PS1 thing.
It's a little cute PS1 thing. Shifting lanes into a new retro throwback of a different strain, Crow Country is a shining example of the PlayStation 1 survival horror revival that's been going on for a few years now. It blends bits and bobs from not only other survival horror games, but weaves in those recognizable polygonal character designs that wouldn't look out of place in a 5th-gen JRPG. And number 1, get your tally going, John. UFO 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here. 100 plus hours says it wouldn't end up anywhere else. The angriest I've ever been at video games in a very long time. I've still got a bunch more golds, cherries, and housewarming gifts to find. Play forever. No lies detected.
Yeah.
Do I want to plop down and make another agonizing attempt to learn how Bug Hunter works? No. Or do I want to play Magic Garden and Tactics again? And that Grimstone file isn't going to beat itself. This is the kind of problem I regularly run into with my games, but this time I don't even need to boot up another game because I can experience all of that in the same window. I'm getting too old for this nonsense.
Do you see where somebody made the computer Like they made the actual computer from
Nice.
yeah, like they like and it boots up and
that's so
everything.
cute.
Like, that's
It
the
boots-
only thing that
it works.
Yeah, the only thing that runs is UFO 50 UFO 50
Fuck yeah.
interface. So it's really really cool.
UFO 50 is a game maker, by the way. Isn't that nuts?
That is so
That's
crazy
nuts.
to
I
me
didn't
that
know
all
that.
of those are made
Yeah.
in Game Maker. That is so wild.
Uh-huh.
Game Maker's pretty good.
Game makers, you can do shit in Game Maker, y'all.
Yeah. All right.
Make cool shit.
We're
Make something
moving
as cool as
on.
UFO 50. If a tenth of the people in our community play UFO 50 and are like, I bet I could make something. I could probably make something like one of these games, and we get
Absolutely.
like 10 games.
Oh God.
Next year, like UFO
50.
50 games.
The S&P S10.
Wonderful.
The S&P S10. Let's make it happen.
S&P S10.
We can do that. I mean, I'm almost confident with the number of game makers we have in our community and the games that we've all released, we could make an S&P S50. But we've already had those discussions for like NES 50 and stuff, and they crashed and burned miraculously. So, are we moving on?
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's time for me to bring us in to our number 8. My number 8 is a game that made me realize that I love shoving things inside of other things just as much as Rhett. My number 8 is Koikatsu Party.
We're not buying it.
Yeah, and I played my hand way too hard there, didn't I?
Nah, that's not happening.
Yeah, my
I
number
thought
8
for a
is
second, I was like, did Polly get really into like using the 3D modeler? Because like a lot of our friends do that, but
Yeah,
you didn't
no,
post a
yeah.
single thing. So
no. My number 8 is Patrick's Parabox.
Oh,
So Patrick's
Ooh, a
a
Parabox,
puzzle game.
Right?
A block pushing puzzle
a
game.
block pushing puzzle game. So Patrick's Parabox, it's Sokoban taken to the next level, and then 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 so on and so on and so on. It's a recursive puzzle game, and my brain didn't even know what that meant when I read those words when I downloaded the demo, and and then I realized 2 hours later, wait, this demo is really chunky, isn't it? I've like done like 2.5 worlds. What is going on? Oh, right. I share libraries with Red and he just owns it. So when you download the demo, it doesn't download the demo. It just downloads the whole damn game. So I was like literally like doing puzzles for 2.5 hours and I completely lost track of time.
I was like, oh, they have a really generous demo, and then no.
Yeah, I just thought it was like, oh, it's like a 3-hour demo because maybe there's like 1,000 puzzles. And no, there's just 10 worlds in the game and some bonus stuff that I.
Oh, the bonus stuff is so fucking hard.
My brain noped out like 4 puzzles into the post game. But this is a game where you literally just like you push blocks into other blocks, which are also their own little puzzle rooms. So you've
or
got
the stage you're on itself.
or the actual whole stage is just the block that you're pushing around. It's you have to watch video of this for it to make sense because like it's just your brain like your brain starts looking at puzzles in an entirely and like the thing is it felt natural. It didn't feel like I had to like retrain my brain to like figure out how this works. It's just like they're really good. The thing that I really liked about this game is it's very good at easing you into everything it introduces and does. So it'll throw you a couple of real easy ones where you get the concept of just like, okay, like if I push this block up against a wall, I can then go inside of it. It is another room, and then I can push the blocks inside of it out into the other main room, follow it back out, and then you just kind of start putting all of that together, and it is just so wildly trippy, and it plays with your spatial awareness in ways that just have you thinking like 3 and 4 layers and rooms deep sometimes. Like you will be like pulling blocks out of like the 5th room to bring them into the 1st room. It's zooming out and zooming in and zooming out, and you're seeing or like the room that you're in is literally just a block in the same room, so you're literally like moving around the room, but you're also watching a little itty bitty block version of you in the same room pushing it around.
I love how when you have a block that is the room, like, and you push it, you can see the wall you're pushing it into slide up on the left.
You see all the blocks that you're pushing up against on the outside, or if you push it into infinity, which you can do. It's like, you recursed way too much.
The last few worlds just push this to its absolute limit. It's like
I was
infinity multiplied by infinity recursions. I'm just like, okay.
I was laughing so hard. Like I've never played a puzzle game that made me just die of laughter. But some of the shit that they have you do in the last couple of worlds, just like I would see what it was going for, and my brain would break for a couple minutes, and then I would just like, oh my God, they want me to what? And then you do it, and it happens, and you're just like, there is no way that worked! And it feels so good. But this is a game where I think like the escalation always feels good. Like the concepts, the way that they introduce them. Like it is a perfectly balanced puzzle game. I've never played a puzzle game that felt this balanced before. And like I am somebody, if you don't know me, I'm a big puzzle dummy. And I'm a big puzzle dummy because I'm dyslexic and I have a hard time with spatial awareness, and I have a problem thinking ahead logically because I got a thing in my brain that says, nope, I don't get it. And sometimes I don't know what left and right are either. So good luck. But this game never left me frustrated because I feel that one, it's good at teaching its mechanics, and two, there's always like other puzzles you can just go do. And I think that's what made it never got frustrating, because it was like, well, I can't do that, dude. I don't get it right now. But it like, well, there's some other easier ones I can go pick off, and then maybe they will be the one to kind of give me the concept that I'm missing to like, because I had that happen a number of times where I just go do something else, and be like, I can do that, and you go back and you do the other one, and then you knock out like 4 or 5 more puzzles, and it just feels great.
There's definitely moments for this where it's like, okay, I don't get this one, but I'll go replay the tutorial levels and kind of understand the concept again and saying, but they never reuse the same gimmick where it's like, okay, what you did in that tutorial level isn't going to work here, but how can you twist it to work this time?
They twist it. They put a twist on it to where you always kind of have to recontextualize it in your brain. Like and the undo system is really generous. Like there's no fail states or anything. The game doesn't make you actively feel bad for not solving it. Or anything like that. You
definitely can evolve into states where you have to undo when you end up in the void of infinity.
Yeah. If you go into the void of infinity, the game's like, oh, hey, welcome to infinity. Do you like it out here? I mean, you can stay and hang out. It's a nice little tune when you're in infinity. You know.
The undo system made this really hard for me to go back to Void Stranger, which doesn't have undo, and I'm like,
yeah. I've noticed that with other games that I've played since this, where it's just like there's not an undo button, and it's like, God, I've got to like redo this whole damn thing. But yeah, like this is a game that really benefits from the hands-on experience. So I'd say go play the demo for Patrick's Parabox. If anything that I have said sounds interesting at all, like go
or even just watch the trailer.
Just watch the trailer and you'll get the idea. But I think feeling it helps. There's the moment like when you first push an entire room inside of another room and then exit out the other side into another room. There's again, so many little moments where that just feels incredible, and I think that you don't get that from just seeing it. You have to feel it, and it's really textile. The way your block squeezes in, it's just the right amount of slowing down to make the squeeze work and feel good. It's so good. Patrick's Parabox is awesome.
Cool.
Listener list. Rhett. John.
John.
I'm so bad at this. John, where's our listener list?
He is muted right now.
John, you're muted right now. You have muted for the most important listener list.
You're right, I did. I'm sorry.
The most important listeners, I realized that if the person who sent this list in, if they ever fail to send us a list, we can never do this show again. That's it.
Yeah,
it's the end of an era.
This is what keeps us going.
This is the only reason I do these every year.
And that's our list from Dawn, 1989. Thank you so much, as always. Our
favorite listener.
You're all our favorite, but Dawn, you're our favoritist.
Yeah.
Hello, dear members of the Sockscast. And John. Never mind. Take it back. Least favorite. I forgot about this bit.
You forgot?
I forgot the bit.
It's my favorite bit every year. It's the only reason I do this show.
I can throw this in the list of the garbage. I think normally Polly reads this one, so I don't know if I've had to read it myself before. This is fucking hell. This has been quite the year for many. The question on everybody's mind is likely, can we blame John and the Saga games for that? I did it, I ruined everything. Besides the sagas. We shouldn't, but we definitely could. A more productive use of our time is to make Game of the Year lists for the Sockscast, so I'd like to give that a try. Game number 3, Disney Dreamlight Valley. Jokingly, I would say, this is basically Animal Crossing with characters you know instead of random animal OCs. I had a good time with it thanks to the relaxing structure and honestly good use of a license. Why has this game the charming crossover interaction of Disney characters that is mostly lacking in Kingdom Hearts? Good fucking question. I honestly would have ranked it much higher if there wasn't the option to spend real money in this game. You don't need to do it at all to play and finish this game, but I will subtract points for that. The gotcha players lament.
Yep.
Game number 2, Sonic X Shadow Generations. Now, this is a pleasant surprise.
This one
of the better.
So many people played this and loved it.
That makes me happy. I'm really glad that this one turned out decent. I think I'm done after Frontier.
Yeah, this is built on the Frontier engine, so...
Yeah, I think I'm done after Frontier. Now, this is a pleasant surprise. One of the better 3D Sonic games got a nice update with a new campaign about Shadow the Hedgehog, the favorite character of edgy little boys pretending to be teens. It is also a very entertaining game with good controls, great levels, amazing bosses, and a fair challenge. Not to mention that gamers flipping out about changing the script to the original game is utterly hilarious, since Sonic Generations barely had any story, and about 20% of the script was other characters warning you about homing shots in the final battle.
Yeah, it's good.
It wasn't 20%, it was 50%.
Yeah, it was about 50.
Game number 1, Blast Brigade versus the Evil Legend of Dr. Creed. I was genuinely surprised how much I like this Metroidvania meets side-scrolling shooter. It weirdly feels like the Contra Metroidvania we never got. The core gameplay is rock solid, slowly expanding the movement to the characters with few but really impactful movement upgrades that by the end of the game allow you to pull some insane moves. The bosses are the real highlight, and you will die a few times to most of them before being able to take them down. It also helps that the game has a ton of charm and allows for some funny character interaction, plus a lot of voice acting and even a few animated cutscenes. The game is also relentlessly stupid in the best way. The final movement upgrade allows all-American hero Jeff Jefferson to summon an eagle that will give him limited flying ability. I hope you have fun with your own list, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Write that game down for me, please.
Yeah, we may need to check that one out.
I think that one needs that one merits a look.
Point Polly at. Boop, boop, boop. There we go.
All right.
Cool. All right, what's next?
What is next?
My number 8.
We have Rhett's number 8.
Every time.
8.
We'll just get right to it. My number 8 is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
This is the most anime to ever anime. It is. This game has a volume. That volume is 11. It never stops.
This is the loudness wars of video games.
It is like... It has like one stage at the start that is like kind of a normal PSO area. And then after that, it just turns the volume up to 10 and then 11 for the entire rest of the runtime.
Fuck yeah.
It is like a little exhausting with how intense it is at all moments. Like, it is like the climax of 100 Wonder.
That's it. I was exactly about to ask you for Wonderful 101.
Wonderful 101 for the entire runtime, practically.
Oh my God.
Like, very directly similar right at the very end.
Oh my God.
I considered cutting it because there are things about it that drive me nuts. Like, one is that it is a little exhausting. 2 is that, like, so if he said, oh, there weren't many updates and how, like, it's not a live service game. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny when it's like, my perspective of this was, oh, this is totally a live service game. It's grindy as fuck once you beat it. Mm-hmm. Where other people were like, there's not enough grind to do the end game. And I'm just like, what are you... This game has one of the strangest problems I've ever seen, where once you're like strong enough, you hit the damage cap. Mm-hmm. And so the only way to get your character stronger is to get certain items that raise your damage cap. And I just think that's like really not fun. Like you have all these items that are like
sounds very gotcha-y.
Yeah,
it's not even a paid thing though. That's what's weird. Is like there's minimal amounts of DLC. There's not like an infinite
but the
shovel
whole,
money
like,
and
a method to uncap your damage feels very gotcha-ish.
You have to, in Fago, you have to like get certain items in order to unlock your level cap. Getting to the level cap is easy compared to getting those items.
Yeah. It's just a very strange decision. It's where it's like I have, upgrade slots that are like, oh, deal 40% more damage from behind. But then eventually all of those start doing nothing. And the only thing that'll do anything is raise damage cap 10%, raise damage cap 10%. It's just a very strange choice that made like the post game really whiff for me. Yeah. That said, like you play the main campaign and it's amazing. It's 10-10 nonstop. I mean, the story is fine. Like I didn't know these characters in this world, but I had a good time with it. Like it's enough about original characters to this game that you're not going to be like particularly lost.
Sure.
And then once you beat it, they leave one thread hanging and then go, anyways, do some grinding for a bit. So you grind for like 10 hours. Maybe that's on the high end, but I put it down and then I came back and I did like the last 5 in one night. Not one night, but like a couple evenings. And then you get like the true climactic ending, which goes really hard again. I was like, actually, yeah, this game rolls on. It's on the list. But then playing any more after that point was just like, I only see one way to get my character stronger, and that's to get lucky with damage cap. Specifically damage cap stuff. But also, they unlock the ability to play the campaign on very hard, and I'm just like, I'll probably still try that out at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it's good when you want to play the game again, I guess.
Absolutely.
The Wonderful 101 comparison makes me happy. I've listened to Grand Blue music. I've looked at Grand Blue character art. Yeah. I've soaked in Grand Blue. It's just like the most... I think it's the gacha that is the most like aesthetically appealing to me. Yeah. I'm not going to fucking play it, but hey, I really want to play this, and I really want to play Versus.
There's 2 key moments for this. One is like gorgeous, basically doing the Wonderful 101 ending, but with dragons.
Fuck yeah!
Because instead of sci-fi, it's in spaceships. It's dragons. Like it's a huge part of it. Like they just go real big. And there's one area where it's like they take an episode of Princess Connect Redive season 2 and just have you play through an extremely similar scenario where you're fighting like this 200-foot tall golem, and you just go, that's not gonna work, and then they make it work. It's just this incredibly cool set piece in a game full of nothing but incredibly cool set pieces. Like I thought this game was ending. This is the last chapter 3 times. There's like, I forget the actual numbers, but I thought, oh, chapter 8's the last one. Oh, chapter 9 is the last one. Okay, this one actually says final chapter. And then there's that actual post-game thing. It goes so big so many times.
This ends more than Attack on Titan.
Pretty much. I truly thought like, oh, this Dark Falz is Shbosh. This is the last one. And then there's like 3 more chapters after that.
Fuck yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good time with this one.
Yeah, I want to play this one. Thank you, because it felt like I didn't hear as much about it, and I'm glad that I didn't know how it hit you. So I'm glad to hear that.
I heard about this one from Rhett, from Iffy, from After 5. Like the people that I knew were gonna like play this game, all loved it.
Cool. All right, I need to do this one.
Okay, so that's my number 8.
All right, we have another listener list. This comes from a longtime friend of mine, a recent community member, an absolute maniac when it comes to playing video games. Very good.
Yes.
Our good pal, Toad22484. Right, so just listed here is Game of the Year. I don't think that this first one is going to surprise anybody. John, go ahead and get your tally ready. Number 1 is UFO 50.
Uh-huh.
And Toad says, I don't think there's any contest here for me. One game with 50-plus quality retro experiences complete with challenges and built-in timers, tons of secrets, and a lot of thought in each game's movement and smaller details just to make this one a clear winner. Having a fresh 50 retro gaming experience was something I didn't know I needed, but they did it almost flawlessly. The second game,
Toad is the most qualified to list this because they got 50 cherries.
50
They played
cherries.
all of 50 games.
Finished every game.
Incredible.
And
mastered them.
Mastered them. And it's all on tape. Toad did it
crazy.
all on stream, so every cherry is accounted for with video proof.
God.
Insanity. Big congrats on that. That is just so insane to me. For a while I was
I
wondering
think that was about 300 hours.
For a while I was wondering who's going to do it. Is it going to be Poncho or is it going to be Toad? Because they were both kind of gunning there for a while and then Toad just zoom.
God.
Some of the cherries are so evil to me.
Oh, they seem so awful. I'm
so scared of Bug Hunter. That's one of the last ones.
God.
I managed to clear Bug Hunter, but I haven't even tried on my 4th run yet.
Me and Bug Hunter are never going to get along, and I'm just resigned to that fact.
Yeah. I don't even think I'm going to beat all 50 because of that fucker.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
I
I only put like 2 hours into it. I played like a while and was like, this is impossible. I can't do anything in this.
That's where I'm at.
This is the worst.
That's where I'm at. I can't get over the hump.
And then I beat like the first one, and then like everything clicked, and then I think my second try I beat all 3 stages, and it's like, oh, okay.
I beat all 3 stages. I'm down there.
I'm down there, and Bug Hunter's fucking easy because it's a roguelike, and I can eat those for breakfast.
Roguelike.
I eat my poop for breakfast. I'm down there.
Okay.
No, second game listed, Planet Attrition.
Aww.
Anybody heard of that? Anybody heard of that one?
Yeah, I think somebody made it.
Somebody made the video game. Can you believe it? It's the kind of arcade game I crave. Quick, fast-paced, great bomb/point system, complex in its simplicity. I love the wiggle of the Spudarians as they attempt to destroy your planet. Masterful! More high score runs, you cowards!
Fucking awesome.
I endorse that one.
Probably makes games that would be good UFO 50 games.
I was going to say,
I think that's a good that is quite the compliment. I'm happy with that. I'll take that.
You came in second to literally 50 other games.
Yeah, I came in second. I cannot you complain about that placement. And the third is XCOM Warhammer 40K Rosigma. Definitely sunk the most time into this. It gets updated almost daily with fixes and such, and has a huge content updates every couple weeks or so. The dev team is really on point. XCOM has the puzzle good brain feels and never is quite the same no matter how much time I sink into it. Toad plays XCOM a lot. If anybody is, I'm going to trust opinions on classic XCOM.
Oh, so this is the classic.
This is
like Enemy Unknown.
Classic XCOM. This is not new baby XCOM. This is
I haven't heard of this.
This is
a mod.
This is a mod. Yeah, 40K Rosigma is a mod for the original XCOM game. So yeah,
the original.
Like the original XCOM games are really freaking hardcore.
They're really freaking hard. I have a friend that's been playing them.
Honorable mentions go to Rika Furude Simulator 25. And
Beautiful.
Her Lullaby.
Aww, Toad.
Love getting Her Lullaby shout outs all these years later.
Toad is very good at playing small games.
God, dude,
Very nice.
like Toad is a prolific NES speedrunner. One of the, literally one of the most, somebody did a spreadsheet once to kind of find who was the most prolific speedrunner, and Toad, I believe, was close to or at the very top of that list.
Holy shit.
Him and White Hat 84 are both just neck and neck of just here's a game you can put it in front of me and I'll just master it. It's like, okay,
so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So fucking cool.
John, I need a number 8. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8,
5, 0, UFO 50.
Okay. Another.
So I wanted to be a little shit and list Magic Garden or something.
I mean, I would take that.
Deserved.
Magic Garden is a blast, dude.
I think I was a little grouchy for a little bit because I think part of my take with this one is that I don't think this is great. I don't think UFO 50 is greater than the sum of its parts. I think it's exactly equal to the sum of its parts, and that its parts are excellent. I think that in a just world, these could be released individually as as like $3 to $10 games, and they'd all do great. But it exists as a package because that's the only way they said as much. That's the only way you can sell games like this.
Yeah.
I saw some crazy stat the other day for how many games are being released every day on Steam.
Oh, it's nuts, dude.
It's like hundreds at least. It might have been thousands.
It's a lot. And it's just like, so like part of engaging with the game is just like, boy, I wish we lived in a different world.
Yeah.
And I almost wanted to like single out a specific game to kind of make that point.
Yeah, I get that.
Then I kind of looked down like my list, and this is going to be the year of like collection picks for John.
Ooh.
So I'm picking UFO 50, but with the context that I'm giving myself the freedom to list many games as like. Because I did a lot this year where instead of like zeroing in on one game like Tales of Fantasia or whatnot for 3 weeks, I had huge binges with like a spread of games. And UFO 50 was really, really fun for that. And it also got me to do that with other games, other kinds of games. So I really like it for that. I don't know if any one of these would quite crack it. My favorites are probably Velgress, Overbold, and Magic Garden so far. Loved Barbuda.
Oh, Barbuda is so good. Just to map that game out yourself, I think feels.
Oh, I made a beautiful screenshot.
You
map.
did a screenshot map,
but
I was like,
paths into the finale.
I was just kind of mapping it out in blocks on graph paper, just like
I tried drawing it.
Yeah,
fuck yeah,
it was a mess.
It was just a fun game to kind of like piece together and then run it back when you finally got it all figured out. It felt so good.
Oh my god, it felt really good. Overbold feels amazing. Velcrest feels amazing. Again, Mooncat was really cute.
Mooncat seems amazing. Like I really I think that's probably the next one I'm digging into.
Yeah, if there's one complaint here, it's that I think there's very little like narrative gumption here. Like this is not these are not games that are going to try to make you feel anything.
Nah,
they are fun. I think Vanger's the only one where I kind of was irked by that because that has a good amount of writing, and the writing didn't do anything for me. So I was like,
They are game dev ass video games.
These are game dev ass video games. I feel like this unlocked something in me, and now I'm kind of in the mode of just like, oh my god, I love little fun games. I love little fun games.
It's one of the main reasons I made Planet Attrition is because like I got back into this mode. It's like I just want to zero in on a small, easy to execute concept that I can like make iterative within its own little game.
That's how I got back into Love 2D and making little train wrecks. It's just like it's a 1-to-1 just from playing UFO 50. It's like, oh yeah, I love little fun games.
That's really great.
Yeah. So this like I'm gonna keep plugging away at this. I love these games, and you know maybe Mini and Max will be in the list next year or something. I don't know. I'm having a ball. I think this is
your heart is open.
My heart is open. My heart is open. I got past my like kind of damage, and now I'm back.
The shmups are not very good. Let's just say it.
Well, the shmups aren't very good.
The shmups.
Those are the first two I
start with
played.
them.
I started with the shmups.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's not a smart move. Like the shmups are very like kind of Euro jank, kind of
way too punishing.
Yeah,
I think Alphazar's hat might be
too
good.
punishing.
Alphazar's hat seems
yeah, that was fine. I specifically mean caramel having no
caramel is kind of stupid.
I don't get that one being so cute and having no checkpoints.
And then the Xanac like whatever it's called.
Yeah,
that's like
Star Wars beer.
Star Wars beer. So, but then everything it's just like beginner shmup dev. But everything else I feel like kind of comes together really strongly. I haven't found any that I didn't like. Mm-hmm. So yeah, UFO 50. More people are gonna list it.
It's going to keep coming up.
It's probably Good stuff. We have another audio list.
Wait. What? All right, so that was Toad. That was me. That was Polly.
Yeah.
It was Rawlef.
Poncho.
Was it 5 and Poncho? Okay, so yeah, we're up to 5.
That's crazy.
We're pretty early.
We are literally only up to our number 8s, and UFO 50 has 5 entries already.
Last year, the winner had 5 picks.
Yeah.
The top one of the thing. So
that's nuts.
Yeah.
So we got an audio list coming right for your ear holes. This one coming from another newish friend. There's so many new faces this year. It's always exciting for me, as I always like kind of hearing these lists coming from new people. Not that I'm not throwing dirt on the people that contribute every year, obviously, but
we said we'd end this if Don didn't submit a list.
Exactly. Yeah. So we love hearing from our regulars, but it's always fun, like as somebody that's kind of like been here since the beginning.
You've been here the whole time.
I've been here the whole time. Can you believe it? Who's been here since the beginning? Just kind of see more new faces still coming in with the voices. So here is somebody that we played a whole shitload of Phantasy Star Online 2 with. So this still actually just goes back quite a way, like 12 years at least. Yeah, it's our good pal Kit. And here's her list in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, all you sexy socks-wearing people who are sexy because of it, or the other. It's Katrinia, or Kit, or Kat, or both. And these are my picks for Game of the Year, in no particular order. So let's get going then, shall we? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm pretty sure this game is one of the main reasons I wanted to get a PS5 last year, and I'm very glad my boyfriend decided to spoil me with one. This game is also how I learned the PS5 does a countdown with pre-ordered games. That was a little bit of torture, but worth it. Rebirth continued to deliver the same quality gameplay I enjoyed in Remake, and it just had more of my favorite characters in there, nearly all of whom they did justice for. Heck, I'm currently having to reconsider my favorite main characters. Aerith held the crown for decades, but Yuffie is coming up fast with her fun energy. The story stayed mostly faithful, with some fun surprises, and the music. I grew up on this soundtrack, and hearing some of my favorite tracks brought actual tears to my eyes. As soon as I heard the weapon theme come on, I had to pause and put down my controller just to listen and cry. A lot. I am kind of pissed I couldn't bring my overpowered characters from Remake into Rebirth, but they overhauled some of the upgrade systems, so I suppose it makes sense. I guess I can forgive them for denying me my curb stomping of the giant snake. Much like Remake, Rebirth made grinding levels next to impossible. I do kind of miss that old school grind, you know? But speaking of grind, Final Fantasy XIV. Yes, I'm still playing this. I'm even streaming it now. My family and I love this game. It just came out with a new expansion, Dawn Trail, which is just a tropical vacation that goes awry. I actually took a week off from work to play this expansion during pre-release week. There's a good cast of characters, and voice talent brought in from literally around the world, as the story actually takes place in basically Mexico and the southwestern US. For fuck's sake, it's got Erica Mendez in it. Erica Mendez! Anyways, between the introduction of female Rothgar, aka Lion Gals, and the bosses of the first and fourth normal raids, the furry community is eating very well in Dawn Trail. There's also been the addition of some very nice and sleek-looking cyberpunk areas that have any tech heads excited. I know Iffy's been a huge fan. That's right, Iffy name drop. Deal with it. Monster Hunter Wilds. Now I know what you're thinking. How the heck is a game that's set to release next year in this year's Game of the Year? They released a beta on console, which is already amazing, and it left an amazing impression. And it's got my two partners now saving up for their own PS5s. Wilds feels very much like a sequel to Monster Hunter World, which was on my list last year, and just takes some of the world's best mechanics to the next level. The addition of a riding companion that lets you wield two weapons is a major game changer. I know Rise had a riding companion, but it didn't let you have two weapons. Now I can be a hunting horn wielding support man with a heavy bowgun. DPS is damage mitigation. I'm a little excited. I am going to sneak in an honorable mention to Star Rail, as they've added some goodies that I'm hearing good things about, but I just haven't had the spoons to slip back into a gacha game lately. But I'm hearing great things, so check them out, I guess. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy XIV Online, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Nothing terribly exotic here. I'm a simple console-playing gal that just has fun in her wild fantasies. Huh? Huh? I'm done now.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Pat.
Good stuff.
That Monster Hunter beta was like an event.
Yeah,
I've never seen such a loud.
I've never seen a beta receive that kind of reception.
Yeah.
It like she said, it literally got the same kind of reception as like a full game, basically. Like people,
It may have gotten more of reception than the full game will get.
yeah, that's kind of weird. Oh, that's unfortunate. I don't want to think about that. I don't want that to be the case.
I'm sure we're going to be hearing about that for like a month when it comes out.
At least. I mean, and hey, like in 2025, 2024 or whatever, a month when you're to still be hearing about a game, that's probably pretty good given the internet's
Monster Hunter fans love them Monster Hunter.
Oh,
They don't seem to be messing those up, at least.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
All right, Rhett, I do believe you have another listener list for us.
Yes, this comes in from Azalea. Number 1, we've been hearing about this franchise for a very long time. Number 1, Final Fantasy III original Famicom release.
Hey,
Fuck yeah, we've
there
got a
you
Final Fantasy
go.
2. I want to say it's Azalea. But yeah, Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3 on Famicom on our
That's
list.
amazing.
Let's go.
I love how big and ambitious this game feels. I can see how it crystallized and set the tone for much of the series going forward, and it really feels like a classic. To me, this game... I know. To me, this game excels at exploration and its sense of adventure. The dramatic pacing and set pieces are great, and you have things like vehicles, hidden areas, and special job interactions that make the maps feel alive and multifaceted.
Awesome.
Number 2, Rivals of Aether 2. It's special to have a fighting game come out that is so directly conversant with its audience in the FGC to the point where even its business model is partly based on tournament organization. This game hit all the right spots for a platform fighter, and it's had a lot of pull from the get-go. I'm really excited to see where it goes in the future. Number 3, Touhou 6, the embodiment of Scarlet Devil.
Yeah, buddy, bringing it back.
Fuck yeah.
I've been getting reacquainted with the mainline Touhou games this year, starting with the first one I ever tried. I love Touhou's idiosyncratic presentation and atmosphere to bits, particularly its almost surreal and impressionistic dialogue. This game has some of my favorite bullet patterns of any shmup, and it's still putting the screws to me with its final stage.
Oh god, yeah. That game is literally like the definition of hit stage 4, game starts stomping nuts.
Fucking love EOSC was my first one, and I went back to it a little while ago and fucking loved it.
Yeah, that game's great. All right, is that it from
Cool.
Azalea?
Great picks, Azalea.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess I will kick things off with number 7s then. What do you say?
Lucky
do it.
numbers.
All right, this is the lucky number. Let's see how lucky it is. So I'm kind of an easy sell sometimes. So if you just like put a thing in front of me that I already like and just make it pretty in the right ways, I'm probably going to enjoy it. So my number 7 is Persona 3 Reload.
Oh,
Cool.
Yeah, Persona 3, I think it's no secret to anybody that knows me or has heard me talk about this series at this point. Persona 3 to this day remains my favorite Persona game, like flaws and all. I just really like that game's atmosphere, the story of that world, and I've talked multiple times in the past about how that game and The Answer are significantly and specifically related to my mother passing, so I won't belabor that point here anymore. Reload is just a nicer, more modern Persona 3 with a lot of tweaks that a lot of the tweaks get rid of a lot of the downtime in the original has, because a lot of that calendar in that original game and FES and Persona 3 Portable, like there wasn't a lot going on, so I feel like they kind of tried to smooth that out a lot more. Like it always kind of felt like there was more going on month to month in this game than was in the original. And despite the fact that there's more stuff, it's just a much faster game to play. It has just the right amount of quality of life upgrades. Yukari is looking so fucking fine, and man, see, you'd think everybody. I guarantee everybody's just like, it's got to be Mitsuru, right? That's who Polly. No, Yukari just ticks all the right buttons for me for some reason, and she just do be looking real good in this version. This version is like nicer than Persona 3 in a lot of ways. Like it does take away some of the teeth of the combat. It's a prettier, gussied up version of a story that I already liked. Like it's like the mechanics that they rework. They do so in a lot of ways where it's just like, oh, we're going to Atlas this up by, we're going to add a lot of cool things, but we're going to forget to balance the game around them. So, like, you get these crazy-ass theurgy attacks where it's just like, y'all, like, you didn't really redesign anything else around me having these attacks that could do, like, half of a boss's health bar. Even on the hardest difficulty, the game is kind of like a pushover. But I do hear that the Answer DLC, which I am so glad that they made, because the Answer gets so much shit, and I loved the Answer, and I'm glad that they have included it as a DLC for this remake, and that they didn't remove the teeth. Like, it's still, like, the enemies are still just gigantic dickheads that can block or dodge reliably their weaknesses, so it's annoying as hell. Igus still does not have access to the compendium in the same way, so she still has to kind of get her personas the old-fashioned way. She can't just buy them. So they kept a lot of that stuff, and again, I think that Persona, like this is just a remake that feels really respectful to the original game as it can be, while also modernizing it with concessions that, like, a lot of people playing games these days, or a lot of people that are coming at it from Persona 5 and Persona 4, aren't gonna want to get their face punched in the same way that original game can do at times. It's still got its moments, but all in all, I think it's just a lot prettier and a bit more digestible and approachable, I guess. So, yeah. I think Persona 3 Reload's pretty rad.
Killer. That's awesome, Polly.
All right.
It's really cool. It's really cool when a series just like nails it on their first entry.
The third version of the first entry.
The third version of the first entry. No, the fourth. Like, because they have Persona 3, Persona 3 Fest,
right.
Persona 3 Portable, and now we got it right with Persona 3 Reload.
So, to be clear, they did the DLC for the Answer?
Yes.
Have they done FemC yet?
No. My bet is they're going, like, because this is such an Atlas thing where it's just like, we released the game and now we're going to release the newer version, like Persona 5 Royal, where we add a bunch of other shit. I am going to guarantee that there is going to be a Persona 3 reloaded that adds the female main character, and then you have to buy the Answer DLC again.
The DLC being separate again would be just egregious.
Egregious, but it's not something...
making you buy the whole game again would be egregious.
Listen, it's egregious that this game was $70 on launch, okay? I got it for less than half, because this game went on sale pretty damn fast after it released. It was not $70 for very long at retail in brick and mortar.
Never pay $70.
I will never pay $70 for a video game ever. Even if I like, it's the game that I want the most in the world. I will never pay.
Contra 5.
Give me a break.
I
regret paying $40 for that.
No, okay, but it's a good one.
I'm still not gonna because you know what? I could just go buy Iron Meat for $15, and it's pretty good too. So I can wait.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I think Contra's dead, and I think Way Forward killed it, but they're still going to try to trot out a fucking shitty.
See, I'm still
remake.
in Contra 4 was good land. Don't kill my buzz.
Contra 4 was good, but, man, Operation Galuga is got to be one of the shittiest Contra games that I've ever seen people, like, jizz themselves silly over.
I can't believe you're talking down to my game of the year like that.
Ah, damn. Anyway, we've got another listener list coming
from Last Sim on Earth.
What you got, John? What does Last Sim on Earth have to say?
Hey, Sox community. 2024 hasn't exactly been the best year for the world, to put it mildly, and it wasn't exactly the best for myself. Yeah, getting us out of the escapism mode. Oh, God. Oh, God. The world's encroaching. However, I'm reminded that there are things that keep me going. My list of the top 3 games of the year shows that games are still very much there for me, even in my darkest moments. God, that's a mood. I've enjoyed the majority of what I played this year to varying degrees, but I think my list really represents the cream of the crop with regards to what I played this year. Number 3, Helen's Mysterious Castle. In a hypothetical situation where someone tried to tell me that RPG Maker games aren't worth shit, this wonderfully crafted gem is what I point to as a rebuttal. An ingenious combat system where RNG is thrown out in favor of numbers that make it clear how much damage will be dealt or received depending on it. Attack and defense stats of abilities used, along with a well-balanced challenge that still leaves plenty of leeway to figure out the strategies that are best suited for each combat encounter. Add on a simple yet effectively told story that doesn't overstay its welcome, and you have one of the great RPG Maker gems. This is my favorite RPG Maker game.
It's probably still my favorite RPG Maker game. It's so good.
I love it to bits. It's just this is me talking, but yeah, great pick, Zim. Number 2, Undertale. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yes, it really did take me this long to get to fully play through this beloved modern classic. And it's a modern classic for a reason, with its playful use of RPG language to tell its story in a way that simply wouldn't be possible in another medium. An instantly iconic cast of characters, a great soundtrack, and some creative scenarios make it easy to see why this game took the Sox community by storm back in 2015.
Oh, no, don't use years. Stop it.
And while I would wonder if this would hit any differently for me if I had played it back then as opposed to in the year of our Lord 2024, I can't deny that Undertale had the impact it did for a reason. Yeah. I fucking love Undertale.
John, you saved
good.
me there. I didn't know that acronym for Year of Our Lord.
Number 1, Final Fantasy VII.
There are some all-timer list here.
This is like the most all-time list ever.
This is incredible. There are some people that will tell you that Final Fantasy VII is the most overhyped, overrated game of all time. The fact that it's topping my list makes it pretty obvious I don't agree with those people. I think that maybe was true in like 2006. And at this point, people just play the remake and they don't play the old crusty PS1 game.
Yeah.
It's like Ocarina of Time. It's like it's time.
Those two games.
Its time has passed.
Game FAQ's best game of all time battles would always be those two.
Yeah.
And now it's like whatever new Final Fantasy.
Undertale?
Undertale did win one, but also Breath of the Wild has like thoroughly stolen the wins from Ocarina's sales. Unjustly, of course.
Unjustly, yes.
All right, back to the list. There is an argument to be made that it's the most flawed game of my top 3. I wouldn't say it has my favorite combat system in the series, for instance. The materia system, while good for customization, doesn't really leave characters with any distinct mechanical identity. What Final Fantasy VII does have is heart and soul, with an incredibly memorable and rightfully beloved cast of characters, a story that is as idiosyncratic as it is messy, and a visual style that is both of its time and iconic. While I've been familiar with the game for 20 plus years from watching my brother play it, this was my first time playing it from beginning to end, and the game's ending still hits as hard today as it did back in 1997. The game was a shining example of what Square was capable of back in the 90s at the peak of their powers, and they arguably still haven't been able to recapture this lightning in a bottle. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 turbo mega super bangers. Great pick, Sim.
And we're the podcast that thinks that easily Helen's Mysterious Castle stands with Undertale and Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, like we are the ones. We are those bitches. We are them bitches.
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't just 3 classics or 2 classics and 1 RPG Maker game. It's 3 classics.
Yeah, it's 3 classics. These all stand together.
Oh my god. Great pick, Sim.
Rhett!
Oh, is it my turn?
It's your turn, number 7.
Okay, so this is the last time I will say this is a game I considered not making the list.
It's better than Tevi.
And I thought, John is going to kill me if I don't list this one. My number 7 is Utawarerumono, Prelude to the Fallen. I don't know how to say that one.
Utawarerumono.
Utawarerumono.
Okay, a little better.
There you go.
Y'all know what I mean. Underwater Ray Romano.
Underwater Ray Romano.
Utawarerumonomino.
Ramanama Numanomino.
Nailed it.
Okay, go for it.
Go.
So the original reason I wasn't going to put this on my list is that the ending really
the best part. The best part of it. You mean
in a weird way?
Not the kind of mushy middle. You mean the best part was what went for you?
So it was the ending that was. Let's back up a bit. This is a visual novel slash strategy RPG, and I actually really like the strategy RPG part of it.
Awesome.
Because I think
hard.
Yeah, I played on.
Fuck yeah.
The real mode.
Yeah.
It's still really easy.
Yeah, the main game is baby easy even for me.
It's like story mode and normal.
Yeah.
Because like Twin Swords Boy can like nearly one-shot every boss by the end anyways. It's very funny. I like the strategy RPG part. I like having the team of characters that you know as characters and not just like faceless, generated
Just
characters.
units.
Yeah, units in like XCOM or something. The mushy middle of the visual novel story is a little bit much because, Polly, do you know in Neptunia Rebirth 3 where you would have like a story event and then you would go back to the main hub and you would have like 2 hours of side?
Yeah. See, I like that shit. I like that shit. Most of the time. Some of it kind of can be bad.
The thing is, though, is like that was an optional thing that happened because all those characters were originally DLC.
Yeah.
In this game, it's how the main story goes.
This is like a Mary Skelter thing where you go back to town between dungeons and suddenly, oh god, there's like 27 events. All right,
and they tell you, and you gotta play them. You gotta play them.
Yeah. And the mushy middle of this has a rhythm to it where it's like, a war will break out and you'll have like 4 battles in a row with like a little bit of story between each one. And then you'll kind of go back to peacetime and have like 2 or 3 hours of just reading cutesy scenarios. And because it's in a visual novel format, it doesn't tell you how long until something big is going to happen again. It's just, here's the next scene. Oh, here's some flirting. Oh, here's some more flirting. Oh, here's a character getting drunk and there's some flirting.
Oh god, there's like a lot of that, huh?
You can definitely see the remnants of the original version of this being an H game of like all of the girls are kind of into the main.
Oh, good.
So good. You're everyone's dad. It's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, then there is like the last arc where it goes real hard with the story. Like escalates to a point I didn't think it was going to. Like really fully explains everything that's going on, has some crazy lore drops, some big final battles, and then the ending whiffed for me originally because I didn't trust this game enough. Because the game told me exactly what was going to happen and I said, no, you're messing with me. Power of anime, power of love, last minute, turnaround. Everything's going to be okay. And then it wasn't.
Oh, no!
The game was very clear what was going to happen.
Look, this is going to happen. This very bad thing is going to happen, and you're going to hate it and cry.
But I was so convinced, because there are sequels to this, that that's not how it's going to go. And then it did.
Oh,
good. I'm obviously being as vague as I can here.
Sure.
So I was definitely like shell-shocked when the game like fully ended. Like the post-credits didn't resolve what I wanted to. I was just like,
I love
it. Me and John joked about another visual novel. Like they would never do that ending.
I think I'd said that about Trails.
Yeah.
We joke that this game is like a Trails trilogy with how hard the story goes at the end. I don't know if that's really accurate. I think games can have complete stories in one arc, and it doesn't necessarily need to be compared to Trails.
Sorry, that's just funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then when I was making my Game of the Year list, this was just permanently stuck in the honorable mentions category, and now it's at number 7 because I went back and I read through all of my screenshots, like at least like 600 of them or something.
And how many times did you cry?
I started crying at the end. When I reread the ending, knowing where it actually goes, then it got me. Then it fucking gutted me. So now I was
there's conversations near the end, huh?
Yeah, there sure are. So it was when I looked back at the whole journey and I was like, okay, fine, this has to be on the list, even though that's going to mean pushing something else down. And at this point, I've already solved it. Can't be Gal Guardians or Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh,
so
God.
Something else has to get cut now.
This sounds like
Fucking
torture.
brutal.
It was a torturous top 12. So yeah, I enjoyed this game. I'll get to the sequels next year.
I'm excited for the sequels too. I'm glad that I recommended you a Rhett flavored 30 to 50 hour character cry at the end game, and it landed.
But I didn't cry the original time when I played it.
I think you cried reading the screenshots afterwards.
It was the weirdest moment of all time for
It's
me.
like how you know it actually got you. That's how you know that it stuck with you.
Like a delayed reaction to the trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's so joyous.
It hurts so much in the moment you just can't process, and then later when
really
you look
didn't
back,
process that's how the story goes. There are some really good revelations towards like the nature of like the main trilogy of characters. Yeah.
For a lot of it, I was like, this is the best. This is like the most like affected I could be by like a Fire Emblem story. And then it's like, and then the last like fifth or so, it's like, no, John, this is an early 2000s visual novel. This is not fucking Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
It's got like it's like moments that are definitely pulling from Evangelion, like a number of things like that. It goes really hard. Oh, fuck. I love the Utawaru Umino.
Nice reading there. We'll leave it at that.
Right. Also the blind girl's really cute.
There's a lot of cute girls in this series.
I mean, given the nature of the original version of this game, there's a lot of cute girls.
No, a lot of cute girls.
And if you go on eHentai, you can look at the original CGs that are actually pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, that's just early 2000s hentai, really. The idea of sex with these characters is always way more fun than the sex ends up being, because the people writing sex scenes are really bad at sex.
Cecile showed me multiple. She played the 2002 version and has all of them unlocked, so we got to read like 3 or 4 of them. And the Toka. Right.
I was gonna say Toka's such a goofy character that you can't imagine her being sexual.
She's the best age scene because it's completely silly. It's just ridiculous.
That was my moment with Karano Shoujo earlier in the year, where there's a character that's just a literal clown, and it's just like you end up fucking her at some point. It's like,
but
what?
Clowns
it's like,
clowns are in right now. Have you heard from Clussy?
I liked her as a character. It's just like I kind of want the sex to be good. Because it's just, but then it was like, nah, it's just boring visual novel sex.
Damn.
God. I fucking love this game. Thanks so much. I'm so glad you liked it, Rhett.
It's good.
All right. Are we ready for another listener list?
Another one?
I got another sitting right here in front of me. The words are entering my brain as I can speak them out loud if you would like. Or I could just like mind them to you. I can just brain them to you if you want.
Can you mime them to us?
Yes,
like
I'll mind them. I don't know why I chose that specific wording. That's the worst wording I could have chosen. It sounds stupid. I'm going to mind them to you. I'm fucking goofy. I don't know. Anyway, Tengu Gemini has sent us a listener list. How about we read that instead of trying to make it into a goofy bit? I'm goofy.
I fucking die in Kingdom Hearts 2.
I fucking
beamed in the fucking head. I fucking die.
Sora, I'm gonna fucking die.
What is happening?
I don't know.
We can't be this crazy.
It's way too early for this to be happening.
We're still in 7.
We're literally on the 7s. This is 2 hours in. This can't be.
We're
Listener
2.5
list.
hours in. This is gonna be a long
Number 3. Threads of Fate was a game I started as a stopgap between longer games. And dude, this game has personality out the ass. Ment is an all-time great protagonist, and I will be thinking about her low poly drop kicks for years to come. God, I fucking love Threads of Fate.
Fuck yeah.
This edged out both Zelda and RZ, 2 games that I was sure would be locked in for Game of the Year when they came out. Yeah, Threads of Fate is such an underrated classic. It has so much damn character, is so much charm. It is so fun. Absolutely a Square jam from back in the day that is so overlooked. Number 2, something that I would say to all of you, thank goodness you're here. Thank goodness You're Here is the game with the most juvenile sense of humor that I've played all year, and I am extremely here for it. It is incredibly British in all the best ways. Dick jokes aplenty in this short slap-former. And number one, I thought we would be hearing about this one sooner than
I can't believe this is the first mention.
The first mention of Balatro. Balatro has taken over my life. If I'm sitting around doing nothing for more than like 10 minutes, I will begin thinking of Balatro Joker synergies. Easily my most played game of the year. Damn, my productivity is in shambles. In a year packed with RPGs I desperately wanted to play, not a one made it to my list. Video games are so cool.
Absolutely. We have one Balatro and one Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
That Balatro is shocking me. This is one I really was expecting to hear like 3 times by now at least.
It's a Love 2D game. I'm rooting for it. Represent.
Absolutely. Like this is a game that I haven't got yet because I know if I get it, I'm in trouble.
Productivity in the toilet.
Yeah, right in the toilet.
I've got it on my phone. I've been meaning to play it.
Right in the toilet, Sora. John!
I took a big old goofy turd right in the toilet.
Big old goofy dump, Sora. Have you ever taken a dump so big you can literally feel your intestines unfurl?
Don't tell Sora about your dumps. That's for my ears only. You know that. That's our arrangement.
Gorge. John! Let's stop talking about Goofy's number 2s and let's hear your number 7.
Okay.
Rhett is clocked out.
Okay, so the most recent arcade game I won CC before this year was oh my god, I can't believe I just zoned out on this.
Did you just literally too much? Goofy done dumped it right out of your brain.
Oh my god! Luckily, I've got my list. All right, it was Batsugun, obviously.
Obviously,
that's not my number 7, but
it's so memorable.
Batsugun fucking rules. I think I listed it that year. Mm-hmm. The only cave game that's the Toaplan. It's their last Toaplan game. It's kind of the last game they made before a bunch of them splintered off, and eventually a lot of them became cave.
Yep.
The only cave game I won CC before now is Mushihime-sama, which I loved. I don't think I loved it quite as much as Batsugun. Mushihime-sama is just like a meat and potato shmup. It's just like a nice little journey. Level 3 and 4 are especially gorgeous. I played a bunch of Dodonpachi. I've sampled Ketsui. My basic impression of Cave was just like that they made really solid action games, but something like Dodonpachi doesn't really have the dramatic oomph that I really like in a shmup, where like the final level feels like a final level.
No, it's a technical game through and through.
Dodonpachi especially, where there isn't even like a final boss theme. I think.
Yeah.
But then this year, I played my number 7. I played Escaluda.
Ooh, Escaluda. This one's good.
I played it for 2 weeks straight, and I got the fucking 1cc, and it felt so fucking good. This game goes so hard.
Yep. This has got big RPG energy.
This is the cave shmup that gets fucking anime at the end.
Yep.
Oh my god! Final boss has 3 health bars. Oh, and that's the second phase. Oh my god! There's like 3 different songs.
Yeah, dude, it literally is a whole ass anime production at the end.
The final level is like half the game.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's great action the whole time. This is sort of an entry level cave game because you're the big mechanical gimmick is that you can slow down time. You can just half the speed of the bullets using a certain resource, and if you let the resource die out, then then the bullets come to double speed. But if you stay in double speed mode for a while, you can build really big chains that give you really good score boosts. So it's a lot of good systems that work really nicely together. So getting good at it is about juggling your slow down time resource and also your bombs, figuring out where to deploy those. it's a fucking cave game, but it's a cave game with really good music and really, really, really good storytelling.
Yeah.
I think Esprit is the one that could maybe best it, because I'm pretty sure it goes about as hard with the storytelling.
Is very similar. Like, it's got the same. I think I prefer Espgaluda.
Yeah.
But yeah, Esprit has a lot of similar things going on.
Esprit, I've just seen the opening where like a little kid is running and trips and drops her toy, and a missile is about to hit her, and then your character shows up in front of her with like a psychic shield, and then the song starts and the level starts. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. So Esprit is like the big boy shmup version. Where
it's really, the big boy version. Like, it's definitely more mechanical too. There's definitely a few more things going on mechanically with Esprit.
Mm-hmm. So I want to play that one, but this is absolutely my favorite cave shmup. It's one of my favorite cave shmups, period.
I hear this a lot. Espgaluda is very like in the circles that I've run in and talked to people with about shmups with, Espgaluda is consistently brought up as like, yep, that's an all-timer.
Yeah, like there's a ton of great cave games. This is the one that's really hitting the John neurons in exactly the right way.
And again, it's entry level and accessible in a lot of ways that cave games, like when they start getting up their own ass, aren't.
Mm-hmm. If you can tackle Toho on hard mode, especially, then you're set.
You are
jump into
good
this.
for Espgaluda. Yeah,
got this, and it's life changing a little bit to start clearing arcade games, because it hits like nothing else, y'all. Even the easier ones, it hits so good to get an arcade clear.
Once seeing arcades is one of the best feelings ever. And just like I watch a lot of Lord BBH, and this guy just
we watched so much Lord BBH this year.
He just does it casually. Like, once seeing arcade games is like nothing for him. So it's just like, but like when I am able to do that, like when I am able to finish an arcade game, even if it's like a baby easy one like RoboCop or something, it's like, I did that and it feels real good, because this game wanted like 5 quarters from me, but I only gave it 1.
I only gave it 1 virtual quarter and MAME. Plus, you have tools now like using save states and whatnot to practice levels.
Yeah, you can do a lot of. You can really learn a game these days.
I timed it, and Mushihime Sama took me like 12 hours, and Escalade took me like 14.
Those are solid hours. Yeah, that is totally the time that I would put into one seeing a game. Like, that is more than fair.
Yeah. So I think these games. My microphone fell down. I got too excited about Escalade.
Just blowing out your pants here.
Yeah, that's my number 7. It's the best shmup I played to the end this year.
That's a damn good one.
Yep.
All right, we have ourselves another list, and it's audio, which means we can shut up for a while.
Thankfully.
Thank Christ. This one comes in from fellow We Like Bad Music Only host Psychic Heist. Maybe the most dadliest dad in the community.
Yeah. As dadly as the Utoru Umino protagonist.
Exactly. Probably even more so. He's a real dad. He's got all the kids.
True.
Like, he's got kids and everything. Look at him go.
Beautiful.
Like, what do you got to do to get kids? I mean, good Lord. Psychic Heist.
Just don't know. They're
There's
just like birds.
no figuring it out. Psychic Heist Game of the Year in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey, Sockscast. Psychic Heist here, giving you my top 3 games that I played this year of 2024. Making this really quick and off the cuff. These 3 games are not really in any particular order. I get different things out of all of them. The first one I'm going to talk about is Balatro. Balatro is one of the most addicting and time-consuming video games I've ever played in my life. It is perfect on those terms. It's also perfect for just being like really sexy and satisfying and pleasurable. I played this on my phone, so all the little sounds that sort of, chime in at the right time feels so good when you hear the clinking of chips and the the shuffling of cards. I love this game. I have gotten so sucked into this game that I have missed appointments. It's fantastic, and it, has definitely ruined my life a little bit. Another game that I love this year would be Iron Meat. I was looking for some running and gunning, and talked a little bit with Polly about, hey, I need a recommendation. Polly recommended this one, and I'm glad she did. This game fucking rules. It is such a heavy metal infused type of game. It's got such a really good soundtrack. I love the visuals. I love the boss designs. Everything about this game really was just satisfying and a joy to play. And currently I'm working on my no death run, which is proven to be a challenge, and that's the kind of thing you want out of a Contra like. So loved Iron Meat. And finally, the last game I'm going to talk about is Dodonpachi Daiojo. This game is so fucking hard. I can't even make it past the first 2 stages without dying. And yet I keep coming back to it more and more. I'm very casual when it comes to shmups. I love the genre, but I go online and I see freaks when it comes to this genre, real shmup heads, and I think of them as gods, and I am just a humble layman when it comes to the genre. But I am so into this game. I'm playing the PlayStation 4 port of it. It's got great features to kind of help newbies like me get settled in and try to not die as much. But yeah, fantastic soundtrack. I love all the options that each stage gives you when you're trying to route out and get your high score, and just trying not to die. It's one of those games that I think is worth its hype. So there you go. That's my top 3. Hope you all are doing well and have good holidays, and look forward to staying in touch with y'all, and see you in the new year.
Fuck yeah.
Bye.
Fantastic. Fun that another cave shmup ends up.
Yeah, I was thinking
that's
that
immediately after that. That's so funny.
I wasn't because again I go into these lists completely blind, so it was hey, the timing.
Yeah, we did not know John's game.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So thank you again, PH. What a lovely list. Iron Meat, I did not get to it this year, but I played the demo. I played the demo when it was a big 3-stage, 3 of 8 stages they were giving away.
Nice.
And that game fucks real hard. It's got such an identity. It's incredible. So
that port of DOJ Dodonpachi is it's an M2 Shot Triggers release.
Oh that's the good shit.
They're the Super Criterion collection.
Nice.
Yep.
It's they're premium. You pay a full release for 1 or 2 shmups, and then you get the most loved on packages in the universe with a ton of extra options, new arrange modes, beautiful recreations of the original arcade version. They're pristine.
Yeah, those are Criterion collection of shmups is literally what I would classify those as. They are so cool.
DOJ and Ketsui are the most impossibly scary hard games I can think of, but also with the most beautiful soundtracks in the world.
Yes.
I keep listening to them. This has to be one of the best games ever made, because no game can have this music without being the best game made.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Rhett.
Hi.
Do you have another listener list for us?
I do, of course. This comes in from Sayara.
Yo, Sayara. Our favorite art bitch.
Bitch.
Bitch. Go ahead, John. Do it. It feels good.
Bitch.
See?
I love you, Sarah.
Gives you a little bit of an Aaron Paul feel, doesn't it?
Oh, here, I can do Aaron Paul. Bitch. That wasn't Aaron Paul.
Yeah, that sounded just like Aaron Paul. I thought we got Aaron Paul on the show there for a second.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yay.
Video games.
Now you need to go have some weird sexual tension with Laura Bailey on stage. That was a thing.
Can I read this list? Video games. Hello, I am Sayara. Video games. I played some that I enjoyed. Number 1. I got back into Phantasy Star Online recently on PC, so Blueburst, I guess, and have rekindled the enjoyment of a game that basically introduced me to, well, almost everyone in this community.
Yep.
Oh.
Number 2. I also got to revive my enjoyment of playing Poppin' Music Lively for PC, too. Having my favorite rhythm game accessible on command is so enjoyable, and I had a blast trying to stream it, making some miserable ASMR segments. Number 3, we are running it back very quickly. That's me talking. Number 3, lastly, like the rest of the country probably, I've been playing Balatro in my free time.
Oh, it's making a last minute. Like, here we go.
Unity versus Balatro. It's Game Maker versus Love 2D.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Easily the most turn brain off, click buttons, and receive bacon type game.
Exquisite.
Thank you, Sockscast community, for the 2024 year, and here's hoping next year will be better than the last. Draw I shall, leaving no clarity. That is law of Sayara T.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All right, we're running it back, Balatro. You are coming alive.
That's almost like 3 in a row.
Yeah, things were looking a little dire for a while, but the mid-show perk up.
Eat
Let's
shit,
go.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh, eat shit.
I almost thought Final Fantasy was going to get a snub. Which would be wild.
All right.
Polly.
Well, I guess we're going to roll into my final pick of the day. What if
Make it count.
I'm going to surprise y'all. You ready? What if I told you that there is not one puzzle game on my list? There's 2.
What?
2 goddamn puzzle games on my list this year. Can
Impossible.
you believe it? My number 6 is Kubanashi Recollection.
Oh, wow.
This is a fantastic little puzzle platformer that I
Sound of furious Googling. This one.
I owe my entire knowledge of this game to one Gesh86 who gifted it to me on Christmas last year, and I literally started playing it like 2 days later and was just like, oh, this is the game that I actually blame for me kind of like starting to kind of be more patient with myself and puzzle games, because it turns out I'm not like frustrated at the games themselves. I get frustrated at myself because my brain is dumb and doesn't do puzzles fast. So I just always thought, I'm big dumb brain and just too stupid to do puzzles. So just let me blow things up and hit things. I'm good at that. But no, I can think it just takes me a longer time to do it because I'm a bit of a Neanderthal at times. But I had a goddamn blast with a Kubanashi Recollection. This is it's a Toho branded puzzle platformer where you play as Seki Bonky, or Sexy Bonky if we're being a little kinky with it. She is a Rokuro Kubi. She is that Japanese demon where they got the long neck. You've seen it plenty of times, but she's like a little bit different in that she just kind of can clone her heads and throw them around.
Yeah.
It's a real great power, and turns out it also makes for like really good puzzle solving. But she can like use them for all sorts of things. Like she can like attack with them. She can like knock enemies around with them. But you will mostly be using them to interact with puzzle mechanics. You can like, you throw them around and they act as little springboards that you can jump on. They break blocks. They hit switches. They ride on conveyor belts and activate things, and like a little like Rube Goldberg puzzles at times. And the catch is that like each level you have a limit to the number of heads that you can create. And when you run out, then you kind of just got to start the stage over, because there is an easy mode where they just give you 20 heads. But I think even some levels, if you screw up bad enough, you just can't complete it with even 20 heads. And this game is a lot like Patrick's Parabox in that it similarly just like has a number of worlds, and every world houses a new set of gimmicks for you to play around with and learn. And like this is a game where like when you start a stage, like you can like freely move the camera around and just like you get to like even like 3 or 4 worlds into the game, you start a level and you swing the camera around to look at what you got. You just like, oh my god, what? Like every single time I got to a new stage in this game, it was just like, what the fuck do you want? How do I do this? And but like it is such a game where like you really get a tangible feeling of when you start playing around with the mechanics. Like there was a real tangible feeling of just like tugging at a piece of yarn and watching the whole little machine unfurl as you piece it together. And it was just really satisfying. I think that I think Patrick's Parabox is a more balanced game. I think that game is way better at easing you in and making you feel less stumped than you are. But I think that I had more fun with this game because one, it's a platformer, and I just jive more with when you show me something like this in a context of a game type that I already like. I'm probably going to maybe glom onto it more than I would, just, here's top-down kind of sterile-looking block pusher. Where you push blocks around. Like you show me something like this where it's like, I'm lopping my own head off and throwing it around to jump on it. That's silly. I can get into that. And I think that this game just gets by on a lot of charm and character. It's actually got a really fun little story too. And like the art for the cutscenes is really, really cute. So
Bless.
A lot of that stuff. This is probably the most fun I've had with a puzzle game in a really long time. I think it's like really the first time where I played a puzzle game and legitimately got that dopamine kick of, holy shit, I figured it out! And
Nice.
not just, oh, fucking thank Christ, that's over.
God. The Socks Gaudy cast is the time of year where I'm like, oh yeah, there are games on Steam.
I don't know that like puzzle games are ever gonna like become a staple of my gaming diet or anything. I'll probably still always just heave like the biggest sigh ever when I go into a dungeon room and there's a block puzzle. Mm-hmm. But I'm at least not as close-minded to the genre now.
We're going to get Void Stranger on your list next year.
All right, we'll do it, buddy. That's definitely up my alley.
Maybe some Baba's You as well.
I think that I could probably at least give both a more of a college try than I would have a year ago. Like I am now of the mindset where it's just like I could look at Void Zero or Void Stranger and go, you know what? I could probably find patience with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I look at Baba Is You and it's like I already like the concept of that game.
The concept is so good. Okay,
I played the jam version when it came out. It was like, oh, this fucking rips.
So yeah, I think that it's definitely something that like I feel like this year has definitely opened me up to a genre that like a genre where that used to make me feel bad, like math. And now it's just like, you know what? I don't think that I'm as afraid of it now that like, I understand something about myself that I didn't a year ago, and I'm more patient with myself. And I think that like that kind of maybe pushed these two games up a little more in that it's just like I learned something about myself, and then like when I applied that to the thing that I always had trouble with that was hard for me to understand, and I would always just get frustrated at me. It's just like, well, there's no point in being frustrated at me because that's just how my brain works, and it works slower. And it doesn't process as much information as quickly as other people might be able to and be like 7 or 8 steps ahead in a puzzle where I'm just like, dude, if I can get like 2 steps ahead in this puzzle, I'm doing good. So yeah, love me some Kubanashi Recollection. Like if you want a really solid puzzle platformer that'll like really make you think and like really appreciate some really clever puzzle design, absolutely the jam. John!
Awesome. So awesome.
John, I need a listener list. I need it right now in my veins.
I've got a fucking banger listener list coming out because this is from Fairly Fresh Socks recruit Chris. Well, somehow we made it to the end of the year. At least we played some good video games. Here are my top 3, a running theme here. Number 3, Sylvie RPG 7 Elf Apocalypse. Currently having more listings than FF7 Rebirth.
Get fucked, FF7.
That's 2 for Sylvia RPG and 6 for Year of the Elf. Boom. I don't know how Sylvie does it. She made this game in like a month or two. It's one of the most fun games I played in a year, packed with extremely fun games. It's a bump combat game whose world is made up of 7x7 screens, each with 7x7 tiles of 7x7 pixels each. A 7 game. I didn't mention that.
All right.
It's so fucking cute. Piecing together how its systems work is a joy. It's by far the most successful Sylvie game I've played. Given its self-imposed restrictions and a 3 to 5 hour runtime, it blows my mind how far above its weight Sylvie RPG punches. It's been a huge source of motivation for my own bump combat game. Thank you, Sylvie, for your RPG and for your 7 elves. Fuck yeah. Number 2, Guramine, A Monstrous Adventure. Second Guramine mention.
I knew this one was going to be on there.
Not the second listing, but the second mention.
When you mentioned it earlier, I'm like, does he know it's actually on a list?
That's so good. This was the year I discovered the cute Falcom genre. With this genre, the story won't rattle you like Trails, and the action won't be as perfectly honed as Ys, but it's guaranteed to be a fun and mostly lighthearted romp with semi-experimental mechanics. Guramine is the best of them for me. Combat has some cool stuff going on, like a cave story-ish weapon level-up system, and its special effects if you attack on beat with the background music. Cute headgear unlocks abound, and there's even a mega tough optional super boss. All this in under 20 hours. Guramine, A Monstrous Adventure is a joy. And number 1, first mention, Visions of Mana.
I knew this one was going to be. I knew what this one was going to be. Yeah.
It's cool that both the Zelda team and the Zelda remake team and the Trials remake team, they like got their cool remake out and everybody loved them, and then they got to make original games.
Then they got to make a cool game that like was really letting them flex their own creativity. Like this game is on my list. Like I
guess that's the Metroid Dread arc as well.
Oh yeah. Same thing.
It's like, all right, y'all did your dues and you got there.
We'll call it the Dread arc.
Yep, the Dread arc. I kept thinking this game would fall out of my number 1 spot, but the more I thought back on it, the more it cemented its place at the top. The demo is bad and almost made me pass on the game entirely, but I'm so glad I did it. It's kind of corny and straightforward, but honestly, I love it for that. Hard difficulty was beautifully balanced for me. Real chunky and exciting boss fights. I cried out how sweet and refreshingly, unabashedly in love the 2 main characters are. Oh, I love that. I cried out how beautiful the in-game art was. Chris posted art from this game constantly, and it's dropped in gorgeous.
This game looks gorgeous.
I cried at the journey the protagonist went on as his naivete and optimism were greatly tested. I cried at the many different ways the party interacts with their individual parental figures. I cried after 100% of the game with over 70 hours clocked in because I didn't want it to end. Visions of Mana has my heart forever. Honorable mentions, Dead Girl's Notebook by Aria, excellent. Zwei, The Ilvard Resurrection, and Zwei, The Argus Adventure by Falcom. Hell yeah, I never can remember which one of those is 1 and 2.
Yeah, I can't either. I just know one of them, like you attack with left mouse button for one character and right mouse button for another.
And honorable mention, Daisy Goes to Slime Castle for Tea by Zelaz.
There you go.
I probably didn't need to open the door for that because she's going to listen later. God, that's really nice. That game rules.
Might be a little biased, but year. You know.
I'm a little biased.
Yeah, it was his game of the year last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was my game of the year last year. Fucking great picks. Excellent job. Yep. Excellent list, Chris. Thank you.
All right, Rhett, you are closing out the day with your entry. What you got?
Okay.
No, he's not. I closed out
he's closing out his day.
Okay.
Oh,
I closed out my day. Rhett gets to close out his day. You're not mayor of the days, John.
We got 5
don't
hours
make
left.
me get Goofy back out here. I will.
Please don't. Please don't. Not the
You're getting a little Donaldy there.
Rhett, number 6.
Rhett?
Okay. My number 6 is the first game that I never considered cutting from the list.
All right.
But it's also the game
safe pick.
It's also, though, the one game that I don't consider perfect of the remaining ones. Because the top 5 are all what I consider perfect games.
Gotcha.
So this one had still a bit of a... this part didn't 100% land for me. Number 6 is Tunic.
Oh, yeah. All
This
right.
is a crazy fusion hybrid of, like, gameplay-wise, it's kind of original Zelda with a Dark Souls twinge, like literally everything these days.
Literally everything.
But also, mechanics-wise, it swerves hard into being a Fez-like puzzle game at the end.
It's like very meta.
Yeah. There's shenanigans going on here.
The Animal Well Void Stranger Bubba's You genre.
See, what I think is different about this one is that it is actually genuinely a very difficult action game up until a point. Like, the final boss is a fucker.
Yeah, I played the demo for this game and got my ass beat.
Yeah, it's genuinely hard. There's like a boss arena at one point where it's like there's 8 statues and you have to trigger all 8 fights and win them in one go.
God.
It's a lot. Like, there was a point where I'm like, am I just stuck here until I beat this? So you gotta like figure out which is the statue you're easiest against and like do the hardest one first, because if that bastard kills you in one hit and you lose all the progress.
Yeah.
So like kind of do the easier ones towards the end where you're still really stressed, like, oh my god, I don't want to die at the end. But anyways, one of the cool mechanics in this game is that as you're going through the world, everything is in this fictional language. Mm-hmm. And you think, oh, I'll eventually learn how to read it. And then you don't. The language is not just a substitution cipher where you can map everything to English letters.
Good.
It's way more complicated than that. So I don't know how to read in this game. The other thing is that you find pages of the Tunic manual scattered everywhere. Like an
actual
NES
instruction
style
manual, yeah.
Yeah, an NES style instruction manual. And the majority of that is written in this language you can't read. And like very, very important stuff and like title headers will be written in English. And it's like, it all gives me this feeling of playing a game in Japanese.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like, you can piece together enough of it, you can see some symbols and kind of assume what they mean. There's one part where it's like, basically the perk system isn't translated at all, and they're all just icons, and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck these do. I ended up looking that one up, because it's like, okay.
That's gameplay stuff.
Yeah, this is like, okay, you take less stamina damage when blocking with this one. I need to know that game. Oh, this one lets me sprint 20% faster. Stuff like that just isn't translated. And so I think it's a really good atmospheric Zelda-ish. The reason it's so high is because it swerves at the end to being a puzzle game. And I thought that was really fun and interesting. The final puzzle is so good. I've never had a single puzzle tie an entire game together.
Oh, that's
It's just like,
so majestic.
It's like this majestic multi-hour thing. I watch a lot of HoloLive streamers. 2 of them have played Tunic. I've watched the final VODs of those to see them run into this puzzle and just be kind of floored by the insanity of it and being like, I have to do what for how long? This is how big? This is the entire game. The entire game was a puzzle the whole time. What? Like this huge zoom out meta layer thing. It's very cool. There's some. What they ask you to do is just really incredible.
Like we're surprised by the scope of the puzzle. I'm just shocked that Rhett watches Hollow Live streamers. Like, I'm just blown away.
So the reason this is number 6 though is because I think both endings are kind of anticlimactic and bad. I played this in January right after Void Stranger was my game of the year.
Oh man, yeah.
Which is my like golden standard of the really cool puzzle has a really cool reward.
Yeah.
Where this is like the really cool puzzle is the really cool reward, and then you get some text afterwards that's a little lame.
So it works exactly like every single other game in the genre.
Basically, yeah, like
except for Void Stranger.
Yeah. So it did kind of run up against like a little bit
not being Void Stranger.
I'm very clever, the video game.
And then it also gets into further meta puzzles get bonanzas. Like, okay, no one's really gonna, I mean, people obviously did figure it out, but there's stuff in here you don't need to do, like translate the language,
right?
Then do the sequence of events backwards to trigger
what?
it gets so weird. It eventually culminates in like the audio, looking at an audio file spectrogram.
Oh, get out of here!
To get a URL to a website.
One shot didn't even go this far.
Yeah, it gets a little crazy, but there is at least an ending. There's 2 endings, and you can go, okay, I beat the game. But
stunning.
Both endings are a little like on the softer side, I would say. Like even Fez, I thought had better endings.
Oh Jesus!
I like the endings in Fez.
I thought the Fez endings were fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really cool, interesting game.
Cool.
Yeah, this is one I do want to play, but like,
yeah.
I don't think the demo sold me on it. It's more of just like I needed to hear people talk about this more because I just don't think that I got the breadth. Because like I play it and it's just like, well, I think you're just showing me like Zelda by way of Dark Souls. Okay, and that's kind of how the demo presents.
Yeah,
and it's just like
it definitely is a lot of that.
I'm like over Dark Souls so much.
Yeah. Polly, do you have a listener list?
I've got a listener list from the best username in the Socks community, Nipples and Smiles. Hey, it's Nipples and Smiles from the Discord with a Gotti list. So here we go. Number 3 is myhouse.wad. Yo.
Oh, nice.
I'm not even sure if this one counts. However, the person that made this is a wizard between level design feats that should be impossible in the confines of Doom and inspiration from one of my favorite books. It's impossible not to have this on my list, but to talk about it would spoil the surprise waiting inside. If you have any interest in Doom or Doom modding, give it a shot. Yeah, myhouse.wad is on the list. Number 2, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Despite coming out in 1999, just making you feel older. Despite coming out in 1999.
This one came out when I don't remember this one coming out because I was a little baby.
You were a babby. You were like literally no years old.
I was like 6.
Despite coming out in 1999, this game is still one of, if not the best, sci-fi 4X games there is. That's 4X exploration type games. Having just recently repurchased a digital copy of the game, I booted it up to test to see if it would even run on modern hardware, and oopsie daisied, 4 hours of my day away. That's the best feeling in the world. Some of the themes and characters are a bit dated, but the gameplay is still some of the best and still stands head and shoulders above even modern attempts like Beyond Earth. And coming in at number 1, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. This game came out in January and I still have a hard time not thinking about it. Not because it has a particularly revolutionary story or gameplay, but because it does everything just good enough to be awesome. My only complaint for this game is that a very large swath of the side content should have been in the Like of Dragon Gaiden, as it thematically would have fit there better and give Infinite Wealth's story a little more room to breathe, as it is bursting at the seams with content even for a Yakuza game.
Yeah, this one seems ridiculously big in terms of side stuff.
Yeah, like I just like have seen people do like strings of streams where they're just doing side stuff and not touching the story, and it's just like that is so much content.
I wonder if it's one of those games where it's like main story 10 hours, side content 80 hours. Or maybe even more lopsided.
God, it feels even more lopsided than that. Yeah. All right, John, we are at the end of day 1, and you need to send us off with an absolute gem. Do you have it in you, or do I gotta call Goofy?
No, I sure got this one.
All right.
So this could easily be a number 1 in a different year. I'm just like, it feels a little arbitrary. It's just like, I think the thing is like, this has been very recent. I'm still in it, and I don't necessarily want to let that bias me against these other experiences that I also really, really, really enjoyed. Yeah.
It's hard to know when to cut off a Game of the Year list, right? Like when what your consideration is. It's like we had that issue on Album of the Year too, where it's just like this really great album came out like a week before we recorded, but it's like, do you want to include it? Oh boy. And yeah, you need time to live with things sometimes.
This is also a continuation of UFO 50. Got me playing small games.
Yeah.
We're gonna just play a bajillion little games and get just like pure joy pumped into my veins instead of playing one big one. So coming off of UFO 50, we did basically I played it for 30 hours and was like, okay, love this, need a break, but I still want to do something like this. And we started playing a bunch of Famicom and NES games. I played like Batman for the first time all the way through. I loved it. Little Samson, loved it. And we were doing more. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think the deal is that we started Namco Museum Volume 1. Cecile has a flash cart on her PS attached to her PS1, and she has the special Namco controller, like the race card or something that makes racing games feel great. And we just played a bunch of Namco Museum Volume 1. And then we played a bunch of Namco Museum Volume 2. And then we played a bunch of Namco Museum Volume 3 and Volume 4 and Volume 5. We're going to do Encore probably tomorrow. We went, my number 6 is 80s Namco arcade games.
Hell yeah! This is a pull. I'm here for this shit.
This could easily be a number 1.
Absolutely.
This is a broad history of amazing games. What we did, this is so perverse. I think we put more hours into this than I have UFO 50. I made a list of every Namco arcade game that they developed in the 80s. It is 77 games. And we have been running through this list, putting down scores for each one and tracking what games are what the default score for each game is. Yeah. So the goal is we want to beat all the default scores for every one. We've beaten at least half of them. Nice. I think. I'll just send a little screenshot of this spreadsheet,
which plays really well with an audio podcast.
I know. As we are recording this, we also keep track of who has the higher score in each game. So we have a running tally of who has more records across all of Namco arcade games. The goal is for each of us to put down a score for every game. Cecile has been, as we're recording, playing a shit ton of Namco Museum and trying to beat my scores.
Spaceship sighted. Spaceship sighted.
She beat my just on this call. She's beaten my New Rally X score, my Galaga score, my Pac-Mania score, and she thought so. She played for 2 hours trying to beat my Bosconian score, and then realized she's playing the old version that's roughly ported on the PS1 version, whereas I set my record on the new version, which is slightly easier. So we split the record into 2 different tiers, and now she's ahead of me on the old version, while my new version one is still pretty unbeatable.
Okay.
This is just I think this is what other people are feeling about UFO 50. This is what's hitting me that way. This is just pure joy in my veins. They're making me want to, I'm literally I spent the last 2 weeks prototyping a little riff on Assault. Their top down, it kind of plays like the Contra 3 overhead stages, but better.
Yeah.
It rules. I figured out how to do that in Love 2D. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
As a game dev, this is one of the most inspiring games on the list. I figured out how much I love Galaxian. I thought it was just worse Galaga for a long time, but then I figured out how fucking good it feels when the boss ship plus the 2 sentries is coming.
Then that's when you get the awakening.
Get real close. They get real close, and then you wait until they're close, and then boom, kill the first sentry.
Yep.
Boom, kill the second escort. Then boom, you kill the boss ship last, and you get a big bonus score.
Yep.
But you can't miss, because if you miss, then you only have one bullet on the screen at once.
Yeah.
The thing that feels good about Galaxian is that you think it's really annoying because you can only shoot one at a time, but that just means you've got to shoot when they're right up in front of you, and your hitbox is actually really generous.
Yeah.
They can get right up in your noggin, and you can still shoot them. It feels so good. Pole position feels incredible, especially with that analog controller.
Oh God, I imagine it feels real good with that controller. Yeah.
Libble Rabble is like, it's the aesthetics in Libble Rabble, the level transitions, the
Oh
mood.
yeah,
It's
those
like
are cute as hell.
It's on the charts. Ordyne, that's a late 80s shooter.
Yeah,
It's just
Ordyne's
like
neat.
extremely colorful. Rompers is pure joy. I love that
Rompers
one.
is the most fun, dude.
Martian Maze is an isometric platformer. It feels great. Gap Plus, the sequel to Galaga, also is really fun. And of course, reigning champion, ultimate game of the year of all time of Sox from here until to the end of time. Bosconian fucking rules.
Yeah, Bosconian is just so good. That game is just drilled into my DNA.
So like I agonized, like I didn't agonize as much as I should have, because I could put this higher. But again, like the top 5 are also like extreme bangers. It's just a lot. You know, this is a 10 games I fucking love list. So just kind of take it on those terms. I have, like I said, my itch collection is 55 games this year.
We joked at the start of this show, hey man, Bosconian could be the year. Bosconian's on this list in one way or another. It happened, baby.
I just looked at my games, at my media spreadsheet, and there's also a running tally there. This doesn't include every itch game, because I don't necessarily list like every like 2 or 3 minute game.
Yeah, those can be, like a lot of those kind of go in one ear and out the other.
I have 108 games on my media spreadsheet for this year.
That's a lot of video games. That's like my entire media thread is like 108 things.
It's all, yeah. So play fucking Namco games, y'all. Oh my God. Play Konami 80s games. Play Capcom 80s, play 80s arcade
really
games.
sit down and try
good.
to live with them too. Like, it's fun to play a lot of arcade games and drop in quarters and kind of do a taste test. I like doing that with my Raspberry Pi. I like just, hey, let's check some things out, get a feel. But when you find something that you really want to just sit down and just live with for a little bit, whether it's like you're trying to beat a score or you're trying to finish the game or whatever, like, let that moment take you. Don't let like the
Absolutely.
Don't let the short attention span that you need to have in the year 2024 dictate like how long you're able to enjoy a game. Like if you like something, really consider putting some time into it, because you will have a lot of fun with it.
Especially when we go back and forth trading scores, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's a cool little idea.
I put 2 or 3 hours into Rally X. I put 2 or 3 hours into Gap Plus. There's quite a few in here where we just took a chunk of time and really dug deep on them. Like, it got to the point where it's like, instead of just racing through trying to beat all the scores, it's like, all right, we got to really learn this one. Pac-Land took like 3 hours into Pac-Land.
Yeah, Pac-Land is like a sit down and learn it game.
Yeah, you got it, because that also has a really high default ice score.
Yeah.
Fuck, I just love these games. I want to do this for Capcom. I want to do this for I want to get that Atari 50 collection and just like live in it for,
man, the Atari 50
for a month.
stuff seems so good. I really like I've had an idea in my brain as an Atari 2600 riff for a while, and I think I might try to make it over the holiday break. I just kind of want to make something that's so simple and just like, you fire it up, there's your like 3 minutes, you had your fun.
They were just like us for real.
Unfortunately, you had to pay like $30 per cartridge at the time for your $5 or for your 5-minute game. Maybe not as cool, but if you can go to itch.io and download a whole bunch of cool little small games, that's ideal. If you have a collection with a lot of small games on it, that's ideal, and that's a lot of fun. So
80, like, if you're a game dev, like, I can't think of something that's much more instructive than playing the games that came out when people were figuring this shit out.
I think that a lot of people write that era of games off a lot, and they're like, oh, well, this isn't good, and they didn't figure it out yet. Well, I think that's the point, is like, when I do riff on things like that, or I like kind of glomming onto those ideas, it's like, well, okay, I don't think that makes it bad. That makes it worth kind of re-examining and like taking that idea and maybe doing the thing that like they didn't think to do. So
They
yeah,
plucked these games out of the ether. They just came up with them.
They just thought them
They invented Rally X. That's insane.
Yeah.
They invented Bosconia. There weren't games that they could be copying
They
from.
couldn't riff on anything. They were creating the riff material. And they didn't
come up
know.
with
They
Big
were
Gun?
they had ideas and they made them work on these crazy computers back then that using an assembly language that hurts my brain to even think about.
Fucking Xevious? You just made that.
You just made that. You
Out of
literally
the ether.
invented shmups.
Oh. Fuck. Yeah, this is a
It's the kind of shit that makes you kind of go, yeah, you know what? Video games are kind of special.
Yep.
And we're not even at the top of our lists yet, and we're already getting there, dude.
I'm glad I got to end the first session with a bang.
Yeah, I think that's as solid as a way to put the first day of Game of the Year to bed as anybody could. So what do you say we take a moment and run down our lists from 10 to 6? One more time for the folks at home. I'll get us started. My number 10 is UFO 50. My number 9 is Hypnospace Outlaw. Number 8 is Patrick's Parabox. Number 7 is Yukari, you're so good. Persona 3 Reload. And my number 6 is Kubinashi Recollection. Rhett!
Hi.
What's your 10 to 6?
Number 10, Hi-Fi Rush. Number 9, Gal Guardians Demon Purge. Number 8, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Number 7, Uta wa Re Ru Mono.
Got it.
Prelude to the Fallen. Number 6, Tunic.
And Sean!
Number 10, Sylvie RPG 7 Elf Apocalypse. Number 9, Tales of Fantasia. Number 8, UFO 50. Number 7, Esp Galuda. And number 6, 80s Namco arcade games.
Fan-freaking-tastic. So we will be back here once again tomorrow at the same time with another heaping helping of all the gaming goodness you could possibly want, along with so many more listener lists. So you go give yourself the break that you need, and we're going to go give ourselves the break we need, and we will catch you next time. But before you go, I want you to remember, take note, one final thing. Remember that we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you.